the things you are hearing right now may sound strange or weird because of the European mentality that you have, which you must reject. I mean, actually, you don't have to reject it. You can keep keeping it. You're not going to be allowed into the kingdom having European mindset. Because the European mindset is against the scriptures. European mindset condones dating. European mindset condones having boyfriend and girlfriend. That's an abomination in the sight of the Most High. What are you doing having a boyfriend for? What does that mean? Boyfriend. Like as I said before, all I have to do right now is just to convince a girl to become my girlfriend. That's all I have to do. And I have full access to her vagina. That's the truth of today. That's unheard of. That's not that the law of the Most High prohibit that. That wasn't the case in the past. That was not the case in the past. All I have to do is to convince a girl or a woman that we're dating. That's it. And she will just lay down as if she's my wife. Convince her that I'm her boyfriend, and she will just lay down. So I don't have to make that commitment the Most High wants me to make. That commitment that Hebrew men used to make. And that commitment protects you. So I can't just back out. The Most High gave us a law that said that as long as I'm alive, I cannot back out. That means you're protected. And while we are talking, while we are still at it, if you become pregnant and you have a child and your child is the first son I have, your son is getting most of my property. And if I refuse, it doesn't matter what I think of you. If I refuse, that's against the law. That will cost me my salvation. This is what I was talking about when I told you that the law of the Most High, everybody is protected. By turning our backs on the law of the Most High, we are all now vulnerable. But the truth of the matter is that women are the most biggest victims. And because of this, you have to despise anyone that is telling you that the laws are done away with. Because the laws of the Most High protected you. Do you have a daughter? Do you have a granddaughter? All I have to do right now is just to convince your granddaughter or your daughter, just to convince her that I'm her boyfriend. And I have full access to her body. Literally. Full access. And I can dump her whenever I want with no commitment. That is bad. That is devastating for women. That's bad. That is the opposite of what the Most High put in place. And nobody have ever taught you what the Most High put in place. I give you an example. And this is a very sad example. I showed you a picture of this. Pains my heart, because I even have a sister who went through the same situation, just like you. When I was talking to my sister about biblical marriage, I was sharing it with her. I kept sharing it with her. At the end, she told me, she said, it's too late. She said, it's too late. I've already lost my virginity. So today, she is by herself. When she became pregnant, the man that impregnated her was pressuring her to abort that baby. This is a Hebrew man. A Hebrew. So when he found out that she was pregnant, he was pressuring her to abort that baby. When she refused, he was gone. She carried that pregnancy by herself. She went through it. She had the baby. So today, if she calls me today and say, I'm getting married, I'm not going. I'm not going to go. Remember what I told you? I don't know about you, but I am tired of lies. I'm exhausted. There's no way I can go to that wedding and sit down and be happy and eat and drink and invite my friends. Hey, come, my sister is doing wedding. I will not do that, because I know that the man who she's going to claim to be her husband is not going to be her husband. The whole world will think that that man is her husband. They could pack their bag. They could go to Rome and let the Pope be their priest. It's still not recognized by the Most High. Now, let's rewind back. That man that was pressuring her to divorce that baby. That man that was pressuring her to divorce that baby. When that man met her, would she have thought that this man will ever tell her to divorce her baby, which he impregnated her? Now, if she had known that at some point, I'm using my sister as an example, this is a true story, for you to show you what we've lost and the danger of not going back to our culture, which is the law. When that man was trying to have sex with her, if you had told her that this man, if you had come and whispered into her ears, this man right here who's about to have sex with you, you're going to get pregnant and he would tell you to kill that baby, would she believe you? Now, if she had known this, would she still be able to move forward with that? Like the picture that I showed you, the point I'm trying to make is that the laws and the commandment of the Most High, the law, made sure that this will not happen. And the Most High had a system where a man have to make commitment. And typically the men that go on to make this commitment are those that truly care about you. A man who just want to lay with you will not make that commitment. They will try. They will lie to you. They will get your phone number. They will tell you they love you. They will tell you they're thinking about you. Blah, blah, blah. They will take you out to a dinner. They will take you out to a movie. And then they will attempt to lay with you. They will try all of that. But they will not want to make the commitment that they are required to make. And the way the Most High designed the system, you're supposed to keep your leg closed. And you never, ever, ever lay down and open your leg and let that man climb on top of you until he makes that commitment. So in this way, you are protected. In this way, my sister would have been protected. Now she's stuck with a baby. And the man is gone. Because the man told her to kill the baby, she refused. And he left. The laws of the Most High made sure that this would never happen. It used to be that before this will happen, first of all, if he wants you, he himself will have to go home. If a man wants you, he will have to go home, talk to his parents. Just like you see in the book of Judges chapter 14. Judges 14. Judges 14. The things you are hearing right now may sound strange or weird because of the European mentality that you have, which you must reject. I mean, actually, you don't have to reject it. You can keep keeping it. You're not going to be allowed into the kingdom having European mindset. Because the European mindset is against the scriptures. European mindset condones dating. European mindset condones having boyfriend and girlfriend. That's an abomination in the sight of the Most High. What are you doing having a boyfriend for? What does that mean? Boyfriend. Like as I said before, all I have to do right now is just to convince a girl to become my girlfriend. That's all I have to do. And I have full access to her vagina. That's the truth of today. That's unheard of. That's not that the law of the Most High prohibit that. That wasn't the case in the past. That was not the case in the past. All I have to do is to convince a girl or a woman that we're dating. That's it. And she will just lay down as if she's my wife. Convince her that I'm her boyfriend. And she will just lay down. So I don't have to make that commitment the Most High wants me to make. That commitment that Hebrew men used to make. And that commitment protects you. So I can't just back out. The Most High gave us a law that said that as long as I'm alive, I cannot back out. That means you're protected. And while we are talking, while we are still at it, if you become pregnant and you have a child and your child is the first son I have, your son is getting most of my property. And if I refuse, it doesn't matter what I think of you. If I refuse, that's against the law. That will cost me my salvation. This is what I was talking about when I told you that the law of the Most High, everybody is protected. By turning our backs on the law of the Most High, we are all now vulnerable. But the truth of the matter is that women are the most biggest victims. And because of this, you have to despise anyone that is telling you that the laws are done away with. Because the laws of the Most High protected you. Do you have a daughter? Do you have a granddaughter? All I have to do right now is just to convince your granddaughter or your daughter, just to convince her that I'm her boyfriend. And I have full access to her body. Literally. Full access. And I can dump her whenever I want with no commitment. That is bad. That is devastating for women. That's bad. That is the opposite of what the Most High put in place. And nobody have ever taught you what the Most High put in place. That's why we cannot follow this system. This system is bad for you. This current system is bad for you when it comes to relationship. In the Hebrew culture, based on the law of the Most High, a man who is interested in your daughter or your granddaughter, first of all, the beginning of that commitment is that they have to go home. That man who sees your daughter or your granddaughter or sees you have to go home first and go talk to his dad. Talk to his mom to get their commitment. He's going to have to bring them on board. Do you think a man who just wants your vagina is interested in going through all that? No. He will try. If he fails, he'll move on, which is good. It's good. If I don't care about your child, it's good for me to try, it's good for me to fail, and it's good for me to move on. It's good for your child, it's good for the girl, it's good for the Hebrew girl for me to move on, because I'm an evil person, I'm not good. If I'm just coming to just because of your body, then I should fail. It shouldn't work. And the system that the Most High put in place makes sure that this happens. Because according to our culture, I am supposed to go home first, talk to my mother and my father, tell them that I saw this woman or this girl that I would like to marry. You can see this in the book of Judges chapter 14 from verse 1. Judges 14 from verse 1. So I will go home, talk to my mother and my father, explain to them, I saw this girl, I would like to marry her. And you know what I would tell them? I would tell my parents to go marry you. Yeah, because I cannot marry you. My parents have to marry you for me. So do you think that a hooligan, a useless individual who just want you for your body, do you think they are willing to go through all that? No. They will keep on moving, keep looking for a whore. They will not be able to get you, because they know that in order for you to lay down and spread your leg, they have to go through, jump all these hoops. And those who don't care about you will not be willing to jump, and that's good for you. Now, following the European system, have removed all of these hoops. Literally. In some cases, I don't even have to, I know what I did when I was in, I know exactly what I did when I was in the world. I didn't want to have a girlfriend. I dealt with many women, but I didn't want to, I like the idea of having a girlfriend. It wasn't really, because that, to me, it's kind of restricting. Being committed to one woman, calling that girl my girlfriend, is kind of restricting. I know what I did. So I've been there. And the way the world is today, because we've abandoned the law and we're following the Europeans, because that's exactly what we're following right now. We're not following the Chinese when it comes to marriage or relationship. When it comes to relationship, we're following the Europeans. Their so-called relationship experts are telling our daughters that before a man marries you, make sure you have sex with him, just to make sure that he is good in bed. That's what they're teaching them now. Literally. European marriage relationship experts. Their experts are teaching our daughters, before a man should marry you, make sure that he is good in bed. Is that what the Most High said? So if I say to a girl, I would like to marry you, so they are teaching these girls to now initiate sex with me, which 99.9% of the time, that's exactly what we want from you. What we want is sex. We don't really care about you. So girls are now being taught to initiate sex, just to make sure that I am good in bed. What she doesn't realize is that I don't want her. I just want sex. So instead of me doing the work to initiate sex, girls are now being taught to initiate sex, to quote unquote make sure that I am good in bed. So today, men don't even have to work hard anymore. And we are suffering. My sisters are suffering. Hebrew women are suffering because of this. This is evil. Speaking of the hopes, according to, as you see in the book of Judges chapter 14, I'm supposed to talk to my parents and tell them that I saw this woman that I would like to marry. Please, father, mother, can you please go marry her for me? It is now my parents that will come to your parents. If you are a young woman and I want to marry you, if I see you and I like you, I have to go talk to my parents. Judges chapter 14 from verse 1. My parents will now come and talk to your parents. Our parents will begin to talk. But before my parents will come to your parents, they will have to investigate you first. If my parents see that I'm serious about this thing, my parents will now come into your village, come into your neighborhood, and begin to ask your neighbors about your family. How are they? Do they have a history of mental illness? How does their women behave? Are they promiscuous? I'm not kidding. Ask any Igbo person what I'm talking about right now. Ask them how things used to be. So my family will come around your neighborhood and begin to ask around to find out the history of your family. Do you guys have a history of mental illness? Do you guys have problem? Does your women have problem producing children? Is there a history in this family? My family will come around your neighborhood without even coming to you people first. They'll first come around your neighborhood and begin to ask your neighbors to find out, does the women in this family, do they have a history of not being able to have children? Do they have a history of mental illness? Do they have a history of being promiscuous, not being able to stay with their husband? My parents will find this information out first. If they are satisfied, then they will now come to your parents and then tell your parents that they will like their son to marry their daughter. When this contact has been made, when my parents come to your parents and tell your parents, hey, look, we would like to do this, also keep in mind, Genesis 24. When they were going to find a wife for Isaac, when they saw Rebecca, they still went to the family, went to the house to talk to the parents. They still went to talk to the parents. Read Genesis 24 to see what happened. So, as soon as my parents come to your family, declare our interest or their interest, my parents will tell your parents that they are interested in getting you for their son, which is me. Your parents will now tell my parents, okay, come back in 2 weeks, or come back in 3 weeks, or in 1 week. Come back. They will not be able to give any answer. Why? Because they have to do their own investigation. If you meet anybody who tells you that they're from the Igbo tribe, ask them if what I'm telling you right now is the truth. If they were born and raised in Igbo land, they will explain these things to you. This is what we do. This is the Hebrew culture. That's the reason why when Samson, as soon as Samson in Judges chapter 14, as soon as he mentioned that he wanted to marry that girl, the Philistine girl, what did the parents say? The parents was like, why would you want to marry a Philistine? The uncircumcised Philistines. So my family will come to your family after they do their investigation, and then they will tell your family that they would like to marry, their daughter for their son. So my family will be talking. My family will not be saying like, "Oh, our son wants to marry your daughter." No, this is done on a family level. Again, a man that just wants your body will not want to go through all of that stuff. That's too much work, because they know they're going to dump you. They don't want to go through all that. So that means you are the one that gains. Only men who truly cares about you will marry you. And if they're willing to make all that commitment, they're not about to just dump you. We don't do these things anymore. Does it mean that it's done away with? No. Those who are wise, those who are spiritual will continue to practice these things and benefit from it. So when my family comes to your family and says to your family, look, our son told us that he saw your daughter and would like to, be in-law, would like to marry your daughter, your family will tell my family, okay, we heard what you said. Come back in 2 weeks. Your family cannot say yes or no, because they have to do their own investigation. So first, they will call you and they will ask you. They will tell you that some people came to the house and say that they saw you, blah, 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 blah. And you tell them, yes, I saw, yeah. And then your family will now go in my own neighborhood and begin to ask our neighbors to find out, how does these people act? Do their family have a history of mental illness? Do their family has a history of violence, this, that? That's what they want to know. And the neighbors will tell them the truth. Because the way you live in America and in Europe is not the way we live in Africa. And it's not the way we used to live in the land of Israel. So typically, your neighbor is your actual neighbor. Your neighbor is like your relative. Typically, we all live as families. In America, you have no idea who your neighbor is. Your neighbor could be somebody from China or something. In Africa, it's a little bit different, although it's slowly changing. So that information will be gotten, and your family will now investigate and find out, do basically a background check. If they are satisfied and they know that my family is not a family that has a history of stealing, like armed robbery or stealing or violent people or some bad people, if they are satisfied, then they will go home. Then my family will now come back the day they were told to come back. And then your family will tell them, okay, we agree. This is just the beginning of the process. This is just the initial stage. That's what I mean by commitment. This is just the beginning. Because when your family now says yes, because they have to say yes. If they say no, I cannot marry you. In the Hebrew culture, if your son wants to marry a woman and you say no, your son cannot marry that woman. If I want to marry your daughter and you say no, I cannot marry your daughter. That marriage will not move forward. Because you are the one that have to give your daughter away. Your daughter cannot give herself away. You see, by abandoning the law of the Most High, you've lost that heritage. You've lost that power. And your children are now giving themselves away. And what is the result? Disaster. Heartbreaks. Pain. Suffering. Loneliness. Misery. Because girls are not allowed to find their own husband. Even the heathen in India are still doing this till today. Go to YouTube and type in arranged marriage in India. See, that's the problem with us, like the Most High said in the book of Ezekiel 23. When we learn the ways of the Gentiles, we become worse than the Gentiles. We become worse than the heathen. You will see somebody from India. They go to university. They get a PhD. And yet, when he wants to have a wife, he will go back home. His father will find him a wife. They're still doing it till today. Go check it out on YouTube. Arranged marriage in India. But for us, the Hebrew, what do? We reject the whole thing completely. We are doing exactly what the Messiah said in Ezekiel 23. When we learn something from the heathen, we become worse than the heathens. We do that. When we learn an abomination, an evil from the heathen, we are more evil than them. We take it to a whole new level. When we dress like the heathen, when we dress like the heathen, even the heathen will be shocked when they see us. They're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's what the Messiah said in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 23. He said that when the Israelites learn something bad, evil, or the ways of the Gentiles, they will become worse than those Gentiles. Do you know that a lot of these so-called white men you see today are homosexuals? A lot of them are homosexuals. A lot of them that have wives in the house are actually gay men. But you would not know. But you see a so-called Hebrew gay. A black man who is a gay. you will know from 2 miles away. He is 2 miles away from you, and you look up, you see that he is gay. That's exactly what the Most High told us. So you are not supposed to. I told you, your children are not capable of finding their own husband. Your son is not capable of finding his own wife. If they do, it will end in disaster, guaranteed. The idea of your children getting married, you are supposed to make that decision. That's why you have the book of Sirach chapter 7. Sirach chapter 7 makes it very clear that the person that gives away their daughter in marriage, they have fulfilled a great task. When you give your daughter away in marriage, that's a great task. It's a task. That's a task, a holy task, which you no longer carry out today. And as soon as you send these girls to school, it's over. Done. It's over. Guaranteed she's not coming back home with her virginity. It's gone. Sirach 7:25. Give a daughter in marriage, and you complete a great task, but give her to a sensible man. Am I the one that wrote this? That's in the Apocrypha. Google it. Sirach 7:25. Am I making what I'm sharing with you now up? This is the Hebrew culture. Why does it say, he that gives a daughter in marriage? He that gives a daughter in marriage, complete great task. He that give a daughter in marriage, or give a daughter in marriage, and you complete a great task. That's a task. You're tasked to do this. Your children are not supposed to go out and find their own husband. That's what we have been doing. How is it working out? How has it been working out? How is it going with your son-in-law? We don't even get to the point of son-in-law. Your daughter is used as a whore and discarded like a piece of rag. All because we've turned our back on this book. And once you do, you lose that protection. Give a daughter in marriage and you complete a great task, but give her to a sensible man, more like a righteous man. Because a man who doesn't keep the law is not sensible. He's a fool. So, this is just the beginning of the process, of the hoops that I have to jump. Before I even, like, this is the hoops. Today, I see a girl, she's half naked, breasts hanging out, tight clothes, nipple out, ass out. I see it. That's exactly what I want. I go to her, I'm lying to her. How you doing? Give me your number. I like you. Blah, blah, blah. I care about you. I'm thinking about you. All lies. Then I take her out to a dinner. Take her out to a movie. The next thing, I'm on top of her. The other next thing, we're done. That's exactly what's happening today. Oh, and then if she gets pregnant, then of course she has to kill the baby. If she doesn't kill the baby, I'm still going to leave anyway. Why am I telling her to kill the baby? Because I don't want responsibility. Why don't I want responsibility? Because I don't care about her in the first place. I don't want that baby in the first place. I don't want her. So the reason why we make sure that they do abortion is to make sure that we cut all ties. Because we know if they go on to have that baby, then that means we're going to have that tie. This is what Hebrew men are doing. This is what men like me are doing. It all goes back to the fact that we're no longer keeping the law. This is why I hate those that speak against the law. This is why I hate those that are playing games with the law. Those who are saying that we're not under the law. I hate them with hatred, with deep-rooted hatred. When is the last time you saw somebody holding a Bible talking about hating somebody with deep-rooted hatred? We are going through real pain, real suffering. Do you think I'm happy that that my sister will never be married again in her life? Think it's good? It's cool. It's a good thing. Or if she does go against the Most High, which she will, if she does go against the Most High to go start living with some man, that I'm not going to be there. You think I'm happy about that? We are suffering today because we've turned our back on this law and we listen to Satan and his children, because that's the only that's it. We are following a pagan system today. So if the two family agrees, if my family agree, if my family listen to me and I agree to come and deal with your family, okay, they do the investigation. Your family will now come back and do investigation on do background check on my side. If they all agree, then that goes through the next step. Next step will be bride price or betrothing. Mary, the mother of Yeshua, the mother of our brother Christ, was betrothed to Joseph. When the angel appeared to Joseph and told Joseph that Mary is going to have a child, what happened there? What happened? I want you to imagine that you are a man. Just imagine this. You are a man. That is for those who are not a man. If you're a woman, imagine that you are a man. If you're a man, you don't have to imagine, you are a man. So just imagine that you have a virgin betrothed to you. You know she's a virgin. You know no man has ever touched her before. You know that because she's supposed to be. Because typically girls are virgins before they get married. It was well understood. It was well understood. Not anymore. Boys are also being taught today. Just yesterday, literally yesterday, I had a Hebrew man telling young men to make sure that you have sex with at least 35 women before you can marry a woman who is about 35 years old. Just yesterday, some hours ago. So even young boys are being taught to make sure that you have sex with a girl before you marry her. You have no idea how disgusting, how wicked this world is right now. Boys are being taught, often by Hebrew men, by the so-called black men. Of course, we'll get it from the Gentiles, being taught to make sure you have sex with a girl before you marry her. Is that what the Most High said? So imagine that this is what happened to Joseph. Imagine that you have a virgin betrothed to you. She's a virgin. And then in a dream, an angel told you, or an angel appears to you and says to you that that girl is going to have a child. You're like, what? How can she have a child? She's a virgin. That was what happened. So if she's going to have a child, that means that she's no longer a virgin. That's what Joseph was thinking. That was what he was thinking. So he decided to put her away. Why did he want to put her away? Why? Because he thought that Mary was no longer a virgin. That's what he thought. Well, if the angel says that she's going to have a child, that means that she's pregnant. And I'm not the one that impregnated her. If she's pregnant, that means she's not a virgin. That means I cannot marry her. This is in the New Testament, as they call it, New Testament. But Joseph was doing all this because of what you see in the book of Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 22 from verse 28 and 29. Joseph understood the law. He knew that he cannot marry a girl who lost her virginity like that. He knew he has to marry a virgin. So he decided to put her away. So another thing that happens during the betrothing period is that once the family agrees, once the initial contact has been made, and the background checks are done between the families, they check everybody out and they agree, then that's when the betrothing begins. As soon as your family and my family agrees, the betrothing has started. So from that moment on, no other man can touch you. In the sight of the Most High, you are now betrothed to me. And until that betrothing is broken, any man that touches you, it's basically, it's like you're committing adultery. This is Deuteronomy chapter 22. Deuteronomy chapter 22 is where you see this. So there's something that happens as soon as a girl is betrothed to a man. Deuteronomy chapter 22 from verse 23. Deuteronomy 22:23. Deuteronomy 22 from verse 23. If there is a young girl, they put the word woman, it's not really a woman but a young girl. If there's a young girl or damsel, a virgin, already engaged to be married, and a man meets her in the town and lies with her, verse 24, you shall bring both of them to the gate of that town and stone them to death. The young girl, because she did not cry for help in the town, and the man because he violated his neighbor's wife. So you shall purge the evil from your land. Do you understand what the Most High is saying here? So if I am interested in marrying you, and if I'm interested in marrying you, and I talk to my parents, I have to talk to my parents first. I talk to my parents and they agree to proceed. Then my parents will investigate you. And then after investigating you, they will now come to your parents. And then your parents will tell my parents to go and come back. Then your parents will investigate my family. If they are satisfied, then my parents will come back to your parents. So once your parents ask my parents to come back, when they ask my parents to come back, they will now agree. That's when the betrothing begins. So any man that has sex with you, if you willingly have sex with a man, the Most High says you should die. So if my parents and your parents agrees that I'm going to marry you, if you allow any other man to have sex with you, the Most High said that you should be put to death, and the man that has sex with you too. But let's say you are in the bush gathering firewood that you need to use to cook, or let's say you are at the well drawing some water, and the man comes there and overpowers you, then only that man should be killed. But what this law is telling us here is that as soon as you get betrothed to me, that's it. Like Mary was betrothed to Joseph. The only way another man will have sex with you or marry you is if we break that that betrothing. That means that my parents will have to get back with your parents, and then the betrothing will be broken. Then now you're free. So while you're betrothed to me, no other man can touch. Your virginity now belongs to me. That your virginity now belongs to me. So you're still a virgin. I'm showing you from the Bible. I began from the beginning. I started with Judges chapter 14. So what you're hearing right now, I'm showing you from the Bible. It says that, again, let's see. Deuteronomy 22. Deuteronomy 22 from verse 23. If there is a young girl, a virgin, already engaged to be married, that means betrothed, and a man meets her in the town and lies with her, meaning sex. Verse 24, you shall bring both of them at the gate of the town and stone them to death. Because as soon as you're betrothed, your virginity now belongs to the man that you're betrothed to. No other man can touch you. For whatever reason, if your parents says no, or if you are no longer interested, it has to be done officially. Your parents will have to call my parents, and the whole thing will be broken up officially with agreement. Okay, this is not going to work. We change our mind. Okay, no problem. Then someone else can come and marry you. But while that betrothing is in effect, if any man touches you, that man is taking my virginity away, because your virginity now belongs to me. Your body now belongs to me. And we're not done yet. We haven't even paid the bride price yet. There's still some steps. And these are hoops that I have to jump before I can jump on top of you. Now I don't have to jump any hoops. I just buy you, pay for a movie, pay for Chinese food, and I'm right on top of you. And I'll dump you in 6 months or in 2 months. If I put some baby in you, I will try to force you to kill the baby. And you're thinking that, okay, if I kill the baby, that if you kill the baby, then I will stay with you. No, I'm asking you to do abortion because I want to make sure that I break all ties with you. And if you have a baby, then it makes it hard for me to get rid of you, because all I wanted from you was just your vagina. And most girls don't understand this. They don't know these things because you don't teach them. You women should be on the forefront teaching these things. So most girls will actually listen. I'm being nice. I will take her out. I will talk to her in a polite way because I'm convincing her to do abortion. But she doesn't know why I'm asking her to do abortion. She doesn't know why. I'm still telling her that I love her. She doesn't realize that the reason why I'm asking her to do abortion was because I want to make sure that I sever all ties, like completely. It's easier to dump her and move on if there's no baby. She doesn't realize that if she listens to me and still get the abortion, I'm still going to leave. If she gets abortion, I'm going. If she doesn't get abortion, I'm still going. Verse 25. This is a chapter that the Gentiles, white people, Europeans, and our people who learn from them, they misunderstand these verses. This is the thing that they read, and they say that the Bible condones rape. They read this chapter. Whenever you hear a Christian tell you that the Bible condones rape, no, the Bible does not condone rape. This verse says that if you rape a woman, you should be put to death. Literally. If you rape a woman, only you should be put to death. That's what the Bible says here. But these filthy, disgusting heathen who are not meant to touch the Bible, who are not meant to teach the Bible, They will actually say that, oh, the Bible condones rape. This verse tells you that if you rape a woman, only you are supposed to be put to death. Death sentence. Verse 25. Deuteronomy 21:25. I'm sorry, Deuteronomy 22:25. Deuteronomy 22:25. But if the man meets the engaged girl in an open country, and the man seizes her and lies with her, then only the man who lie with her shall die. If a man meets a girl and there's nobody around, and he looks around and he rapes her, only the man should die. Verse 26, Deuteronomy 22:26. See, these devils, these demons, I told you, they want to give you the impression that the Bible is against women. And those of you stupid women, you believe it because you're wicked. You want to be feminists, so you believe them. This book protects you. Just like Satan. What did he do in the garden? He gave Eve the impression that he cares more about Eve than the Most High cares about Eve. Do you understand that? The Most High said, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that, you can eat this, you can eat that, don't eat this one. The evil one comes and begin to give Eve the impression. He gave Eve the impression that he cares more about Eve than the Most High. But Eve was dumb and stupid. Eve was stupid. She was foolish. How can your Pharaoh creature care more about you than your creator? It never occurred to her. And I see the same thing repeating itself till today. Between the relationship between white men and the so-called black women. I see the same thing going on. You don't realize who you're dealing with until it's too late. Because it's always too late. And at the end of the day, you are always the victim. Hebrew women should be raging against Satan. Hebrew women should be angry against Satan, be fighting Satan. But that's not what we see. We often see you hanging out with Satan, smiling, dealing. I know someone, a very sad situation, very, very sad story. I know someone that was a virgin, and they were, whenever we have conversation, I think I told you this before, I told you this, I tell you these stories. This is what you see in the Bible. The Most High will tell stories. You remember when David committed adultery? David was wicked, took somebody's wife and killed the innocent man. When the Most High sent Nathan told David a story to make a point. The Most High told you a story, Ezekiel chapter 16, to make a point. Ezekiel chapter 23, to make a point. So I'm not just telling you this story, I'm telling you this story. These are true stories. Let it not just be entertainment for you. If I find out that you're listening to me just to be entertained, or you're just over here just to be entertained, I don't know. Well, I know, but I'm not going to say it. So I know someone who is, you're supposed to be here to keep the law, to improve on the law. You're supposed to be here for yourself. You're supposed to be selfish right now. Like, you should be thinking about yourself right now. It's your salvation. Yeah, Paul says in Philippians 2:12, walk out your salvation with fear and trembling. You should be caring about your salvation right now. So I know someone, and right now they are in their 30s. But when I met them, they were in their 20s. They were like maybe like 26 years old or something like that when I met them. And almost all the time, a lot of the time, they will be talking about their virginity. In one way or the other, the conversation will come up and they will be like, well, I can't know why. She will say something like, I don't know why people do stuff like this. You know, I'm keeping my virginity right now. And if I get married, I wouldn't want to do this. I wouldn't want to do that. So in one way or the other, they will keep mentioning to me that they are still a virgin. They will bring it up because they are. They were. So she kept doing this. She will often bring up her virginity. Often. Okay. So she went to college, of course. She got her bachelor's degree. She got her master's degree. And then she started doing her PhD. So at some point, she no longer brings up the issue of virginity. She no longer talks the way she used to talk. And then one day she asked me a question. I'm telling you this story for a reason. You don't know who I'm talking about, so the person doesn't join us, so you know. So one day she asked me a question, and the question was, what happens if a Hebrew woman lose her virginity to a white person, a Gentile? What happens based on what we know about biblical marriage, or based on what I say about biblical marriage? What happens if a Hebrew woman loses her virginity to a Gentile? That's a very, very, very you don't want to find yourself in that situation, because according to the book of Jubilees chapter 30, a Gentile cannot marry a Hebrew woman. The Bible describes it as she being defiled. A Gentile, like a Chinese or an European or a Latino, cannot have sex with a Hebrew woman. If that happens, then that's like a daughter of Israel being defiled. Please read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. Jubilees chapter 30. A Hebrew girl or a Hebrew woman having sex with a Gentile, that is she being defiled, and it's totally that cannot happen. Just like a Hebrew man cannot lay with a Chinese or European or a Latino. These are Gentiles. That's defiling yourself. Again, don't take my word for it. Go read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. I know of a Gentile, an European, who was quote unquote dating a Hebrew woman. He listened to me talk about this, and he asked me, he's like, I had you the other day saying that, you know, I had what you were saying about biblical marriage. I have this woman. He asked me about it. I was like, go read the book of Jubilees chapter 30. And he read the book of Jubilees chapter 30, and he broke up that relationship. That's how clear that chapter is. So a white person who was quote unquote dating a black woman read the book of Jubilees chapter 50 and chapter 30, Jubilees chapter 30, and he broke up that relationship because he understood that he, as a white person, a European, cannot be laying with a Hebrew woman. Okay. So this person who was a virgin asked me a question one day. What happens if a Hebrew woman lose their virginity to a Gentile? To me, that was a very tough question, but it is what it is. Like, just because you lost your virginity to him doesn't mean that he can now be your husband. That cannot happen. That cannot happen. If you are a Hebrew and you lose your virginity to a Gentile, you just destroyed your future. He cannot marry you. So Hebrew men are not allowed to marry Gentiles. And don't take my word for it. Please take your pen, get your pen, write it down and go read it. Read the book of Ezra chapter 10. Ezra in your Bible. Google it and read it. Ezra, not the Apocrypha, not second Esdras. I'm talking about Ezra. If you open your Bible, you see the book of Ezra, read the whole chapter 10. The whole chapter 10. The Hebrew men, so-called black men that married Gentiles, when they were living in captivity in Babylon, they married foreign women. Gentiles, foreign women. When they found out that it was against the law, they got rid of those women and their children. They got rid of them and their children. This is Ezra chapter 10. So just like Hebrew men was not allowed to keep foreign women, so a Hebrew man that has a Mexican wife, you have to end that relationship. If those in at that time was not allowed to keep their wives, you will not be allowed to keep your wife, as you see in Ezra chapter 10. A Hebrew man or a so-called black man with a Asian woman, you have to end that relationship. A Hebrew man or a black man with a white woman, you have to end that relationship. Read the book of Jubilees chapter 30 and the book of Ezra chapter 10. Read the whole chapters. I'm not talking about verses. I'm not talking about a verse. I'm talking about the whole chapters. So what happened to this Hebrew woman? So what I saw in the whole situation was that she went to high school, came out, was still a virgin. University, came out, was still a virgin. Did her masters, came out, was still a virgin. Because she grew up in a strict Christian family. Not your average Christian family. But then, as she was doing her PhD, she was now alone in school. She was now in her 30s. All of a sudden, she doesn't bring up the issue of her virginity anymore. And then she asked me that question. And I knew that it was gone. How was it gone? Because she's in school doing her PhD. She was walking. One thing leads to another. She's bored. She's lonely. Some filthy. Let me say that right. Some filthy. In the sight of the Most High, they are filthy. Some filthy, disgusting heathen. They start talking. They go out for dinner. From going out for dinner, they go out to a movie. From there, they either go to his apartment or they go to her apartment. And her virginity is gone. Not even to a Hebrew, but to a Gentile. Talk about being doomed. Now, this person is now in their 30s. They finished their education. They have a job now. They have no children. They have no husband. Actually, that heathen that took her virginity, that's her husband. But that's not going to work. Do you understand that no Hebrew can marry this woman? Or her case will be, she still has a chance if she keeps her legs closed right now, which I don't know how possible that would be. If she loses her virginity, which seems like it's gone, and only that heathen laid with her, if she closes her leg right now, then she has a chance. Because when that heathen is dead, then someone else can marry her. But that's not always the case. Most of the time, a woman will lose her virginity, they will break up, and then she will go on to be with many more men. And once that happens, you're in trouble, biblically. Unless if you want to be by yourself for the rest of your life. But no Hebrew man can be with you. No man that wants to obey Christ will be with you. Because Christ says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 31 and 32, that whoever takes a woman who is put away commits adultery. So a woman who is a virgin, she loses her virginity to a man. In the sight of the Most High, that man is her husband. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter what the reason is, for whatever reason, if they separate, she is put away. If I go have sex with her, I'm committing adultery. So this person that I'm talking about right now, this person who is a stranger to you, this person was supposed to be married. If this person got married when she was supposed to, she would be a grandma right now. Like literally. In the Hebrew culture, at the age of 30-something, she would be a grandmother. Because if she had gotten married, if she was married when she saw her period, which could be whenever it was for her. So let's assume she saw her period at the age of 13. By the time she's 30 something, like if she has a child at the age of 13, or if she has a child at the age of 14, like Mary, you know Mary, right? You know Christ, like the one they call Jesus Christ. His mother became pregnant at the age of 14, and it wasn't unwanted pregnancy. That is the only holy pregnancy in the history of mankind. The only divine pregnancy. That was at the age of 14. So take that and compare that to what the Europeans have told us today. Just compare that. According to the Europeans, her husband Joseph will be a pedophile, right? Like R. Kelly, who had sex with a 14-year-old girl. So, if she had seen her period at the age of 12 or 13 and had gotten married, typically Hebrew girls are betrothed just to avoid any kind of sexual sin. They are betrothed. They get married when they see their period. By the time she's 30, how old will her child be? Her son or her daughter? So by the age of 30-something, they will be like a grandmother. That's if we're following Hebrew culture. What I just described to you right now, they do that in the Middle East. And we call them terrorists and child abusers because the white man said so. So, if you think about the whole situation, this person now have graduated. Obviously, they might be making good money because they're PhD, right? But they have no child. They have no husband. They can buy a nice house. They can buy a nice car. But the actual purpose, the thing that actually gives a woman happiness, they don't have that. They don't have children. They don't have a husband. So what typically happens in this situation? As a human being, look, I don't want to sit here and pretend. I'm going to just present it like it is. If you could see it however you see it. We know what happens to adults. Okay, I'm tired of lying. I'm exhausted. I told you. You desire sex. That's a fact. You're supposed to be that when you desire sex, you go to your husband. When you desire sex, you go to your wife. But what happened to sisters or brothers who don't have a wife? What do? They turn to pornography for the men. Oh yeah, the heathen have strip clubs for you. You go to strip clubs, which is a whorehouse. Go to strip clubs. They also have a private room in a strip club. If you want to pay more money, you can have sex with those women. That's the system we have today. How long are we going to do that? That's for the men. For the women, what happens? You're making good money. You're living in a big house. No children, no husband. You're busy with your career. But at some point, you're going to become lonely once in a while. When you're lonely, what do? What do? They dress half naked. On Friday night or Saturday night, they go to a club. They go to a bar or a club. They're dancing. They target a young man or whoever they likes. They take them home. They have sex. The man leaves in the morning. They call it one night stand. How long is that woman going to do this? The older you get, the more difficult it becomes to do this. The older you get, the more difficult it becomes to get young men that will follow you home at night. But how long would you do this one night stand? This is all happening now because when that girl was young, she wasn't trained to be a wife. She wasn't trained to be a mother. She wasn't given to a man in marriage as she's supposed to. It wasn't done. What was done? What was done was that she was sent to school. She went to school. She lost her virginity. She pursued her career. And at the age of 30-something, no husband, no child. And because of YouTube, there are channels on YouTube. This is interesting for me, that you have women today who are now making videos describing what I just described, describing how like lonely they are, how they realize that this is like, basically it's not worth it. Like, what did I do? What have I done? That's like their attitude. Like, I've gotten all this stuff. I'm at this age. I did this, and because as a woman, see, your happiness, your joy, your fulfillment doesn't come from materialism, cars or house and all that stuff. No. That's not the way the Most High programmed you. Joy and happiness and fulfillment comes from children and husband. Your husband, your children. By taking care of them. That's how you feel fulfilled. Because that's where your service is supposed to be. But Satan deceived you using the Europeans, creating the system that they created. So you went to school, they told you that if you become successful, if you go get education, you make good money, that's how you find fulfillment. That's not true. It's so bad that it's like almost unbelievable to see YouTube channels where women are making videos describing how they are lonely. So it's like they've realized that this system they have followed is a lie. They're still searching for something, but oftentimes your virginity is gone, your youth is gone, you're now in your 30s, and that's when it hits. But it's too late. And who is laughing now? Satan. This is what your children needs to be saved from, not to walk on that path, because those that have gone through it are regretting it, and they're speaking out through YouTube. I showed you a video from those Hebrew Israelite women. You can search it on YouTube. Professional black single women, ABC News. Professional black single women, ABC News. That's a video that came out about 8 or 9 years ago. These sisters, they went to school, they did very well, they graduated, they're making good money, they're in their 20s and 30s, no husband. And they continue to reduce their requirement. So this is happening. And what happened to the person I just told you, I don't know if I'll say that I feel sorry for her, because I did warn her. I was warning her, but she didn't listen, because she's a Christian and she's under a strong delusion, the one that the Most High talked about. Those that refuse to keep the law are delusional. They're mentally ill. So it doesn't matter what you tell them, they will not listen. So because she's not keeping the law, she's not able to see spiritually. And I did warn her. I told her that the days are coming when you are going to be making good money. and you will live in a big house. You'll be making a lot of money. You'll be making 300,000 a year. You'll be driving a big car, but you will be lonely and miserable. I told her this years ago, but she did not listen. She couldn't understand it because she wasn't keeping the law. So now her virginity is gone. So at the end of the day, what shall it profit that person? What shall it profit you? She did not really fulfill her purpose. She followed the ways of the Gentiles, because that was the system that she was put into. She did not choose to go to school. None of us choose to go to school. Our parents put us in that system. That's just the truth. You did not decide to go to school. At some point, you now can decide to get out at some point, but oftentimes it's already too late. So let us not put our children in that situation. Let's not do that. Let's not put them in school. Our parents put us in school. Our parents were the one that said that we have to go to school, and if you refuse to go, they will beat you. If you refuse to go to school, they will beat you, because they were told that if you don't go to school, you will not succeed. That's not true. So typically betrothing is done when the girl is still a virgin, and then you do when you do the betrothing, and then you go through the bride price. You have to pay a bride price, 50 shekels of silver. 50 shekels of silver. The man has to pay a bride price to your parents. Your parents are the one that will get the money. So on the wedding day, there's a very good video on YouTube. You see Muslims, they did something similar. On the night of the wedding, after they did the celebration, the dancing and everything, that night was when the girl and her husband went inside a room. You see it on video. I mean, you don't see them, but you see that they went into the room. But she was a virgin. There's a video like that on YouTube I saw like years ago. I think it must still be on YouTube. So so after the betrothing period, that's when I'll begin to teach you. I will not begin to teach you things, because your husband is the one that will teach you. Your husband will pick up where your father left off, where your mother and your father left off, as you see in the book of Numbers chapter 30. Numbers chapter 30. Your husband will now continue to teach you as you're coming to your husband's house. You really don't have any agenda. As a Hebrew woman, the way it used to be, when you come into your husband's house, like, you're not coming in like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor, or I'm going to be a lawyer, or I'm going to be this. No, that's not how he did it. And again, I have a scripture for you. Numbers chapter 30. Go read it. Numbers chapter 30. I'm giving you a detailed, very deep information about biblical marriage, how things used to be. You can do these things today for your daughter or for yourself or for your granddaughter or whatever, depending on who you are. These things are not lost. It's all preserved. As I tell you this, I'm giving you the scripture to go read and see for yourself. I'm not making this up. Numbers chapter 30 shows you this. When you're in your father's house, you are under your father and your mother. They are teaching you. Titus chapter 2 from verse 3. Your mother is teaching you how to cook, how to clean, and all that stuff, all those kind of things. Oh, and you're seeing your mother too. You're seeing what your mother is doing. You're seeing the way your mother is treating your father. You're seeing what's going on between your mother and your father. That's how you're learning also. That's why I told you guys some time ago. Some of you may not understand what I meant when I said that. You may not understand it. I told you that a child who is raised in a house where there's only one parent, that child is not complete. That child will not be normal. And you may not understand because you don't have, because that might be you. So you might be like, you may disagree. But it still doesn't change the fact. There's a reason why the Most High made it would be a man and a woman in the house. Because there are certain things that children are learning when they see their parents interact. And these are often things that you cannot teach with your mouth. These are things that you cannot teach verbally. When children are watching their parents in different circumstances, during hard times, during good times, during misunderstanding, these children are watching their parents to see, they are seeing how they're reacting, how they're dealing with each other. They're learning from that. We don't have that anymore today. It's hard to find it today. But the girl is also being taught specifically, they're being taught certain things. They're being taught how to clean, how to cook, how to be submissive to their husband. They're hearing certain things from their mother. So when you're now betrothed to me, that's when I basically pick up. I pick up from there and begin to teach you. Begin to teach you. Like Adam taught Eve certain things. Adam taught Eve certain things. So I begin to teach you. That's why it says in Corinthians that if you have question, women are not allowed to speak in the congregation. Women are not allowed to speak in the congregation. If they have question, let them ask their husband at home. At home. So typically, you as a Hebrew woman, if you have a question in the congregation, you don't even ask the person who is in charge of the congregation. You don't even ask. So if you go to the congregation, you don't stand up and ask. But you ask your husband. And if he doesn't know it, he will now approach those in the congregation and they will tell him, and then he will tell you. Typically, there was a time Hebrew women don't deal with men directly, strange men. There was a time, this doesn't happen, it happened with the Muslims right now, but it doesn't happen with us anymore. Oftentimes, women are in the forefront today. Oftentimes, women are in the very forefront. Most men are quiet, weak, and the women are leading them. Just like it says in Jeremiah chapter 3. As for my people, children are their oppressor, and women rule over them. So there was a time in our culture, and you can see this with the Muslims. Often, like you, if you have a husband, you and I cannot even interact. We can't even stand and talk. You and I we cannot communicate. Why? Because you have a husband. So there's anything I need to talk to you about, I talk to your husband and they will talk to you. That's how it used to be. That's why I told the men, if you want to see if I'm telling the truth, if you see a Muslim woman with her veil all covered up, try and talk to her and see what happens. Try and start a conversation and see if she will talk to you. She wouldn't want to talk to you. That's the way it used to be. So in a Hebrew culture, you can't even ask questions in the congregation. You ask your husband. That's what Paul was saying in the book of Corinthians. You ask your husband, and your husband will now ask if he doesn't know. Because your husband has the sole purpose of teaching you. So in the Hebrew culture, as you're coming into your husband's house, you don't even have an agenda. Like, oh, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a lawyer. No. You don't have any. No, you're coming there to serve him. And you know that. And you've been prepared for that. As you see in Proverbs 31. Proverbs 31. So whatever you do from that moment on, he will decide, what you're going to, what your future is going to be. Now, this is very disturbing and troubling for the Gentiles. And for those of us who have learned the ways of the Gentiles, the idea that your husband will have to decide your future, that is scary for you. That's like an attack for you. But it wasn't for your ancestor. It wasn't for your grandma. It is for you because of the Western mentality that you now have. So within that betrothing period, your husband will begin to teach you things. And you begin to become one with your husband. And then when the bride price is paid, because there will be a bride price. Now, this can go for like months. And I'm still not even able to touch you. Not even a kiss. But I'm already making all this commitment. I can't even touch you. But I have to go all through all this. So when the bride price is now paid, when the bride price is paid, then it depends between our family if there's going to be a wedding. We don't have to have a wedding. Okay? You don't have to have a wedding in a Hebrew culture. You can if you want to. But the way the Most High designed it, you must not have a wedding. Why? Because there are those who may not be able to afford a wedding. So they can still get married. On the day of our wedding, let me give you the two system. Once I pay your bride price, oh yeah, speaking of bride price, money cannot be an issue in the Hebrew culture when it comes to marriage. If I cannot afford to pay your bride price, no problem. But I'm still going to pay it. The question is how? That brings us to the book of Genesis. If you remember Jacob, when Jacob married Leah and Rachel, Jacob had no money. Jacob had no money, but he still was able to get married. That's why I've told you, if you have a son, start looking for a wife. You must reject this wicked idea. This wicked idea that the heathen, the Europeans have given you, that your son must be doing well before they can get married. That is the wicked idea. And if you follow it, you hate your son. And that son of yours will soon begin to watch pornography and begin to have sex with all these little whores because you don't want him to get married, because you're following your enemies. Your son doesn't have to have money to have a wife. Let me say that again. Your son doesn't have to have money to have a wife. Genesis 24. How many buildings does Isaac have? When they brought, notice I say when they brought Rebecca, they brought Rebecca and gave Rebecca to Isaac. Isaac is not the one that paid the bride price. You think that Isaac couldn't go find his own wife? But Isaac understood that his father Abraham have to find him a wife. We wait for our family, our parents to give us a wife. My family is supposed to give me a wife. Yes. And if you're a woman, your family is supposed to give you away to a husband. You wait for them to give you away. Let me tell you something. See all this stuff going on in the world right now? You see all this stuff? Boyfriend, girlfriend, dating, all this abomination. This European system you see, the Most High will destroy the Europeans and destroy this system. If you are wise, you better start going back to the Hebrew culture, because at the end of the day, the will of the Most High is what will be done. Those who are fools will perish with the heathen. You're not coming into the kingdom with any of this nonsense we've gotten from the Gentiles. So we're living as it was in the time of Noah, right now. That the Most High is quiet to see who among his people will go back to the old ways, like he told us to in the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16 to 22. Jeremiah 6, 16 to 22. So everything you're hearing right now may sound to you like a fairy tale. Okay. So you don't have to have money. Your son doesn't have to have money to have a wife. No. Jacob had no. Do you notice that every point I'm making here, I'm giving you the scripture? Genesis chapter 28, 29. Jacob had no money. So if I'm coming to marry you and I have no money, no problem. But I still have to pay your bride price. If I have no house, no problem. I don't have to have a house to marry you. Isaac had no house. When they gave Rebecca to Isaac, the Bible tells you in Genesis 24 that Isaac took Rebekah inside his mother's Isaac took Rebekah inside his mother's tent. That's not what I'm saying. That's what it says in Genesis 24. Isaac took Rebekah in the room. Listen to this. In the room where Isaac, our ancestors, in the room where Isaac had sex with Rebekah for the first time, that was in Sarah's house. That was in his mother's house. His mother's tent. His mother's tent, not his tent. So I'm trying to destroy, I am trying to crush and destroy these lies that the children of Satan have given you. They've given you the idea and the impression that your son has to be doing well, making money, have a job, have a career before they can get married. No. Your son's body doesn't care whether your son has a job or career. I got a call from a 14-year-old boy. I told you this already. And he was basically struggling with pornography. So his body doesn't care whether he has a job or whatever, he has a house. No, do what the Hebrews do. Help your child. Help your child. Don't be wicked. Don't think like a Gentile. Don't think like the Europeans. When their children turn 18, what do? They throw these children out. In the world of the Gentiles, in the European system, anybody who is above 18 and still live with their parents is considered a loser. A loser who is irresponsible. My brothers and sisters, that is the opposite of the Hebrew culture. Yeah. How old was Christ when he began his ministry? 30-something, right? John chapter 7. John chapter 7. John chapter 7. I just thank the Most High. I know that what you're hearing, most people are going to ignore it. Most people don't care. Those who will listen to it as an entertainment. But this is not a fairy tale. You can go look up the scriptures. It's not written down anywhere. I didn't write it down. I'm giving it to you. The scripture I'm going to give you in the next 5 minutes, I don't even know. What you're going to hear in the next 5 minutes, I have no idea what you're going to hear. But as we proceed, you're hearing about biblical marriage, and the scriptures that correspond with them is coming out. This is meant for those, those that it's meant for them. I don't know. I don't care. Whoever it's meant for, I don't care. It's like I'm like somebody holding letters. I'm holding mails, letter. So I have whatever you do with your mail, that's your mail, that's your letter. That's up to you. Whatever you want to do with it, that's you. Okay, how old was Christ? Because we can see that in John chapter 7, Christ and his brothers seems to still be living in the same house. Read John chapter 7 from verse 1. Eventually Christ moved out. As you can see the reason in John chapter 7 why he moved out. Jacob, Isaac, Esau, Rebekah. If you look at the book of Jubilees, you will see that these are our ancestors. When Esau was trying to kill Jacob, Rebekah told Jacob to run away and run back to Laban, her brother. To run to Laban's house. Jacob said, no. If I run away right now, who will take care of my father Isaac? Esau was there. He had 2 Canaanite wives. He had 2 wives, plus himself. That's 3 people. Plus Rebecca. That's 4 people. 4 of them is enough to take care of Isaac. And yet, Jacob still refused to run away to save his own life, because he understood that he was supposed to take care of his father. That's another Hebrew culture that we've lost. So today you have children, but you're suffering. You have children, but you're going through hard time, even though you have children. It's not supposed to be that way. It's not supposed to be that way. In the Hebrew culture, if you abandon your parents, that's an abomination. If you abandon your parents, you might as well just go become a whore or something. Go start partying and drinking. Forget about keeping the law. In our culture, you take care of your parents. They take care of you, you take care of them. And we live together. We don't kick our children out when they turn 18 years old. We don't do that. We live together. Often we live in the same family. If there's more people, we live in the same compound. So we have more houses. I give you an example. When I was building my house, before I built the house, I sat down. I had a piece of paper with me, and I used a paper to draw the plan of the house. There will be this room over here, this room here, this room here. This will be my room. This will be this room, and also this will be a section for my, I can't just build my own house. It's a family house. That's how Hebrews used to think. That's how Hebrews used to think. So my house is not really my house. It's actually our house. But if you have a mother, as you're building your house, you have to put her room in that plan. If you have a father, you have to put his room. So if you're building a house, if you're building a house, then you have to include your dad's room, your mom's room, your brother's room, and your sister's room, all in that house. Now, if they don't want to stay there, that's up to them. But you have to include their house, their space. Now, I thought to myself, okay, maybe I should add more house. Why am I thinking that? Because I have brothers. So if they get married, so we can have more room. But I'm not thinking, oh hell no, you go do your own thing. Go make your own money. You are lazy. Why am I supposed to pay for your marriage? What? No. We don't do that in the Hebrew culture. If I have a brother that wants to get married, I have to pay. If I can, I will pay for the marriage. If I can afford it. So I cannot say because he cannot afford. We cannot say because he doesn't have money, so he can't have a wife. We don't do that. Again, when you meet anybody who is from the Igbo tribe, okay, ask them, is it true that family will often find a wife for their son? Just ask them if it's true. Is it true that in your culture, if somebody is not doing very well, or they don't have money, or they are useless, like they are going out smoking weed, chasing women, is it true that sometimes families will come together and get a wife for that person? It's true. So as Hebrews, we used to be very family oriented. And by being this way, everybody benefits. Nobody is left behind. Let me tell you something else in the Hebrew culture. And anybody who is from the Igbo tribe will confirm this for you. This is okay. You also see an example in the Bible. or similar example or something close to that. So in the Hebrew culture, if I marry a wife, say continuing from what I was sharing with you before, if I marry you and bring you into my family, everybody in the neighborhood will call you their wife. So you're not just my wife, you are only my wife in the bedroom. I'm the only one that touches you sexually. But as you come into that family, my sisters, they are like your husbands too. Oh my goodness. Wow. This is so different from the current system we're following today. Because, oh my goodness, because the system we're following today, if your son marries a woman, what happens today? What happens today? Oftentimes they move out. And you will hardly be able to see your son anymore. And the society will teach your son, oh no, you're married now, so you take care of your family. You know, you're married now. Your mother should not be bothering you. Your father should not be bothering you. Your brother should not be bothering you. That is the opposite of the Hebrew culture. Do you need some proof? Let's go to the book of Tobit. Let's go to chapter 10 in the Apocrypha. Again, we suffer. We suffer. So oftentimes you see people who have worked hard, who carried this baby, who carried a child 9 months, who tried, who worked hard to feed these children. Oftentimes they are old, they are suffering, there's nobody to help them. But they have children. They have sons, they have daughters. Their children are going around doing their career while you're suffering. But you have children. But your children can no longer help you the way they're supposed to, because they have their own family now. No, that is the opposite of the Hebrew culture. But let me show you. Don't believe me. Yah's willing, I will continue to show you the scriptures to back up what I'm telling you, what you're hearing. So as a woman, when you come into a family, when I marry you, you're not just coming in there, like for us to move out and go build our own house and move away. No. That's the opposite. That's why everybody in the community sees you as their wife. So you're not coming to take me away. No. You're coming to join the family. Let's go to the book of Tobit. In the Apocrypha. Tobit. If you don't have it, Google it. Google it. It's already in your phone if you Google it. Tobit chapter 10. So, Tobit chapter 10. Let's see where we will start. You can. Oh yeah, I always recommend it. I always recommend to you, please read the book of Tobit. It's only 14 chapters. If you haven't read it, or if you don't read it, you're lazy. Or maybe it's not meant for you. There's a reason why I'm asking you to read it. It's only 14 chapters. Okay. See, speaking of reading, when we go to school, we have no problem with reading, right? When we are in school, we have no problem with reading. You read and read and read and read and read, and you stay up at night and you read. But when it comes to the Bible, Tobit chapter 10. The book of Tobit. Let's start from verse. Okay, let me just explain to you what's happening here. But when you read the whole chapter, you will see for yourself. So there's a girl, a Hebrew girl, okay, who was being married off. So she's been married, and she's about to follow her husband to go home to her husband's house. Her husband is living with his own family. Her husband, the man who came to marry her, he himself lives with his mother and his father. Don't believe me? Go and read the book of Tobit. It's scripture. So her husband is already living with his father and his mother. This idea of children moving away when they turn 18, that's a wicked idea. And for those of you who will practice that nonsense, you will suffer. Because as you kick your children out of your house because they are 18, because you want to be like white people, when it's time for them to take care of you, I pray that they will not be there to take care of you. No, you don't deserve it. You deserve to suffer. If you follow the heathen, you will live and die like the heathen. Today you go to this convalescent home, to retirement homes. You see people that have sons and daughters, many grandchildren, but they're there lonely. You're supposed to be at your grandchildren's house, your children's house, playing with your grandchildren, keeping busy, helping your daughter or helping your son. But we don't do that anymore because we're following white people. We're following the heathen. Then eventually you die in misery. You die in pain. You die in loneliness. How can you die in loneliness when you have many children and grandchildren? Okay, so this man marries her, and she was going to be taken to her husband's house. Okay, they're about to leave. They're about to leave to go to her husband's house, right? And her parents was giving her this advice. So her parents was giving her advice. That is Tobit chapter 10. The book of Tobit chapter 10. From verse 12. Tobit chapter 10 from verse 12. This is what her parents. So this is like me coming to marry you. If you are a woman and your parents is giving you final advice. Your mother and your father is giving you final advice before you follow me to my family house. So they say to her, then he said, verse 12, Tobit chapter 10 verse 12, then he kissed his daughter Sarah and said to her, my daughter, honor your father-in-law and your mother-in-law, since from now on they are as much your parents as those who gave you birth. Go in peace, daughter, and may I hear a good report about you as long as I live. Then he bade them farewell and let them go. Then Edna said to Tobias, my child and dear brother, Yahweh of heaven bring you back safely, and may I live long enough to see children of you and of my daughter Sarah before I die. In the sight of Yahweh, I entrust my daughter to you. Do nothing to grieve her all the days of your life. Go in peace, my child. From now on, I am your mother, and Sarah is your beloved wife. May we all prosper together all the days of our life. Then she kissed them both and saw them safely off. Oh. By the way, this is arranged marriage. This right here, the Most High arranged this marriage. You will see when you read the whole book. The book of Tobit, the Most High arranged this marriage. This is an arranged marriage because the Most High sent an angel that arranged for this marriage. So we do arrange marriage. Okay? So, now, the reason why we came to this chapter in Tobit chapter 10, the reason why we came here is because look at what they told this girl. Look at what they told their daughter. And tell me if that is applicable today. They said to her, their daughter, they said to her, then he kissed his daughter Sarah and said to her, my daughter, honor your father-in-law and your mother-in-law, since from now on they are as much your parents as those who gave you birth. Go in peace, daughter. So this advice is irrelevant if she's only going to be living with her husband. They told their daughter, when you get to your husband's house, honor your mother-in-law and your father-in-law, because from now on they are going to be like your parents. They also told their daughter, from now on we want to hear of a good report. From now on, as you are in your husband's house, we don't want to hear any negative report about you. Why would they say this? Because they taught her right. We don't teach our children anymore. We send them to school. They say, he said, may I hear a good report about you as long as I live. I don't want to hear a negative thing about you. So we are family-oriented people. We are together. We don't do what the heathens are doing today. When your son gets married, he moves away with his wife and that's it. No. We don't do that. And if you continue to read this chapter, this book, you will see that when Tobias, eventually, when his mother and his father died, he himself, listen to this man that married this girl, this man that married this Hebrew girl, he himself took on his father-in-law and his mother-in-law, and they stayed with him until they died. So he, the Hebrew, right here, did not have any problem taking on his father-in-law and his mother-in-law, and they stayed with them until they both died. This is what we do. We are family-oriented people. So when I tell you that we are suffering today, and when I tell you that our suffering is going to get worse, you might not understand what I mean, because you don't understand how things used to be. But all praises to the Most High that we have the scriptures to show us how things used to be. Things used to be really good. Life used to be easy. You wouldn't understand that because there's nothing to compare it to. So whatever life you're living right now, you're thinking that this is your best life. No. When I tell you that we are poor, you might be laughing, because in your mind, you live in a nice house. Maybe you have a car, you have some money in your bank account. So you think I'm crazy when I tell you that we're poor today, because you don't understand where you came from. You came from a royal family. You came from a wealthy family. But you don't know that. So because you have all these crumbs, these little things that you have, you're thinking that you're doing well. No, you're not. Compared to what you actually used to have, compared to that, you're not doing very well. We are not doing very well as a nation today. So that's what I meant, that when I marry you and you come into my family, you're not just my wife. You are only my wife in the bedroom when it comes to sex. But other than that, you can't. My mother is like your mother. My father is like your father. There's a particular respect that you have on my brothers and my sisters. So you get welcome into the family. You don't take me away from my family. No, that's what we do now. You come into the family, that's why you have the name. You become part of the family. You become like a daughter to my family. That's how it used to be before we rejected all of these things and replaced it with the European system, which is a disaster. So again, if I cannot pay your bride price, no problem. Because what happened is that if I cannot pay your bride price, I don't have to have a house. I don't have to have money. My family, because it is not my responsibility to get married. I'm laughing because I know it sounds, it is not my responsibility to get married. It is my parents' responsibility to find me a wife in the Hebrew culture. How does that sound? That sounds crazy, right? Compared to what you've been taught. Biblically, it is not my responsibility to get married. All I have to do is to wait for them to bring me a wife. That is their job. That is their problem. They have to go find me a wife, pay for her, pay the bride price, and bring. That's the way it used to be done. And if I happen to see somebody like you see in the book of Judges chapter 14. If I see somebody I like, then I'll go talk to them. Why? Why do I have to talk to them? Because they have to do it. Oh, what does it say in Judges chapter 14? When he saw that girl, the Philistine girl, he went home and he told his parents, go marry her for me. Because in the Hebrew culture, it is not my job to get my own wife. My mother and my father have to find me a wife. My mother was found and given to my father. Same thing, you keep going back all the way back to Abraham, all the way back to Rebecca and Isaac. That's how it used to be. So if I'm not able to afford it, that's why I told you guys, I told you something some time ago, and I know it may probably sound crazy to you. I said if you have a 10-year-old boy, start looking for a wife. You have a 14-year-old boy, start looking for a wife for him. Yes, you have to. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have a job. That's why he has to start learning a skill. But just because he doesn't have money or he doesn't have a house doesn't mean that he cannot have a wife. Because your son will at some point begin to desire sex, and that will bring a problem if he doesn't have a wife. So typically we as Hebrews, we usually do these things for our children, and they themselves will turn around and do it for their children, and their children will do it for their children, and their children will do it for their children. That's how it goes. See, it actually goes back to the Most High. Yes. Who gave Adam a wife? Did Adam find his own wife? Did Adam find his own wife? No. The Most High gave him a wife. Okay. So it goes back. So it was done for me, I will do for my children, they will do it for their children, they will do it for their children. It keeps going. There's a difference between a woman I find for myself and a woman my parents found for me. A woman that my parents find for me will most likely be homely, calm. She's less likely to be a whore. She's more likely to be a housewife material. And she's more likely to be respectful of my family because they are the one that found her. The wife that I found for myself, the wife that I find for myself is more likely to be wild. The reason why I'm interested in her is most likely because of the way she dresses, because of her tight clothes. So that's what I meant, that Hebrew men or boys should not be finding their own wife. Usually it's done by our parents. So if I cannot afford a place to stay, my parents will provide me a place to stay, while at the same time they're helping me to find something doing. They can encourage me to go and become a fisherman. So it doesn't mean that because I don't have anything, they will just helping me. No. They help me, but they encourage me to go become a fisherman or become a wine tapper or become something, so I'll be able to feed my family. And also be able to take care of them when they get older. But just because I don't have anything doesn't mean that I cannot have a wife. They will pay for the bride price. They will help me pay for things. And in our culture, building a house is not that difficult. It's easy. You just have to, want to do it and work towards it. So if I can't afford a bride price, we can make an arrangement where I can work for your dad. I can come, being a young man or being a man. If I cannot afford to pay the 50 shekels of silver, your father can say, okay, all right, no problem. You don't have money to pay a bride price? No problem. No problem. I have a land over there. I have a land behind the tabernacle, or I have a land in this place. Go and cultivate the land for me. Go take care of land and plant some food there for me, and we'll be even. And that may take me 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, or maybe he has like 3 or 4 land. Whatever he asks me to do, if I agree, then I will do it. We'll have an agreement. I have 3 land. Go and plant corn in that land for me, and then one will be even. That's the bride price, and I will go do it. So just because I don't have money doesn't mean I cannot have a wife. In the Hebrew culture, those that do have money, they do. Oh yeah. So once I pay the bride price, once we do that, oh yeah, you need some scripture. That's Genesis 29. Read Genesis 28, 29 and 30. But focus on Genesis 28 and 29. So if I cannot afford we can take care of it by agreeing, making some agreement, and I'll work for your family. And once we do that, they will now give you to me. They will now give, once I pay the bride price, you will now be given to me. As you can see in the book of Genesis, right? Once I pay the bride price, they will be giving you to me. You now become my wife. We still haven't had sex yet, but I've paid the bride price and pretty much. So Genesis chapter, let's see. Genesis chapter 29. Let's see the part that he told Laban, give me my wife. Okay, so Genesis chapter 29. So from verse 15, Genesis 29:15, it says, then Laban said to Jacob, because you are my king's man, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what shall be your wages? Verse 16, now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Verse 17, Leah's eyes were lovely. Another thing too, we don't marry strangers. See, we begin to do it now, but typically we marry within our own people. When I mean our own people, I mean our own tribe. Typically we marry between our own tribes, our own king's men. Doesn't mean that you marry your sister, no, but we marry within our own king's men. That's something that we do too. And you can see that in the book of Judges chapter 14 also. If you remember Judges 14, that was the thing that Samson's parents was asking him, why would you want to go to the Philistines when you have all these Hebrew women in the village here? There's all these Hebrew girls. Why would you want to go marry a Philistine? And you saw what happened with Samson marrying a Philistine. That didn't end very well, right? So typically we marry within our own people, our own tribe. Okay. All right, let's continue Genesis 29. So Genesis 29 from verse 17. Genesis 29:17. Leah's eyes were lovely, and Leah's eye were lovely, and Rachel was graceful and beautiful. Verse 18. Genesis 29:18. Genesis 29:18. Jacob loved Rachel, so he said, I will serve you 7 years for your younger daughter Rachel. Verse 19. Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to any other man. Notice the way he talked. It is better that I give her to you. I want you to imagine a white man saying that. They would never say that, because that's not part of their culture. The idea that you have to give your daughter away, that's not a white man's thing. That doesn't sound well. Any white man that opens his mouth and say, oh, I'm going to give my daughter away, people will look at him like, are you crazy? Is she your slave? That's how they would think. So, but if you look at the language that this man is using here, he's speaking like he is the one that's supposed to give her away. What did he say? He said in verse 19, Genesis 29:19. Genesis 29:19. Then Laban said, it is better that I give her to you than that I should give her to any other man. Stay with me. Verse 20. So Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed to him but a few days because of the love he had for her. Now look at verse 21. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife that I may go in unto her, for my time is complete. What does that mean? Give her to me, or give me my wife, that I may go in unto her. Jacob was in this house with this beautiful girl for 7 years. 7 years. And Jacob never touched her virginity. Think about that. Now, as soon as he finished serving that 7 years, what did he say in verse 21? Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, that I may go in unto her. Going unto her is sexually. Sex. Give me my wife, that I may go in unto her. That's why I told you, as soon as I pay your bride price, as soon as the bride price is paid, that's when the sex happens. That doesn't happen today anymore. As you can see here, I just want you to just imagine a young man, a strong young Hebrew, living in a house, the same roof, with a girl that he desired, and he's literally serving to pay for her bride price, and yet he still did not touch her body. Because this is the Hebrew culture. You can't have sex with her until you pay her bride price. Couldn't he have said, are you telling me that Jacob never had a chance to lay with this girl within that 7 years? Really? Really? He never had a chance. Do you really believe that this girl would have said no? It was clear to her that Jacob was serving to marry her. Jacob was serving 7 years to pay for her bride price. Do you think that she would have? Do you think that if opportunity had came, and he had been alone with her, and he tried to like she would have? I mean, I'm already serving for you. I mean, I'm already paying the bride price. I mean, let's just do it now. But they never did it. They never did it. Because Jacob and this young woman right here, this young girl, they both understood that sex only happens after you pay bride price. I spoke about commitment. How easy it is for me to have access to a woman's vagina today. How easy it is without making any commitment. I just have to spend money for dinner, movie, to convince you. Look at all the commitment that Jacob had to make. He served for 7 years. 7. Before he asked for the wife. Because he and everyone understood, you don't go anywhere near her body until you finish paying her bride price. And only a man that cares about a woman will be willing to jump all these hoops. Like literally. It's a literal hoops that you have to jump. And you don't jump into anybody you see on the street. You only jump in for someone that you care about. The Bible protects women. He said in verse 21, Genesis 29:21. Genesis 29:21. Then Jacob said to Laban, give me my wife, that I may go in unto her. Why is he so in a hurry? Because he wants to consummate the marriage. Because she was a virgin. She was a virgin, and when he lays with her, he will break her virginity, and she becomes his wife. She becomes his wife. That's how it goes. When he began to serve for that 7 years, she was betrothed to him. That's what we saw earlier in the book of Deuteronomy, if you remember in the book of Deuteronomy. So as soon as he began to serve, as soon as the agreement was reached, that's when she automatically became his wife, like betrothed to him. So no man can touch her at that point, because this man is already making that commitment already. This man is already paying her bride price. Verse 22 will take us to wedding. Wedding. You don't have to do wedding. It's not a must. It's not biblical. So say I marry you right now, right? Say you are of a marriageable, you're eligible for marriage, and I marry you. We don't have to do wedding. You don't have to do wedding. All you do is pay the bride price and do the virginity thing. That's it. If you want to do wedding, that's up to you too. It's not a must. Those who don't want to do wedding, like, what do I mean by wedding? Okay, let's look at the next verse. The next verse is verse 22. Genesis 29:22. Genesis 29:22. Genesis 29:22. So Laban gathered together all the people of the place and made a feast. Here we go. Verse 22. That's the wedding. He invited people and there was a feast. That was the kind of wedding that Christ went to in the book of John chapter 2. John chapter 2. He gathered people and they made a feast. That was the wedding right there. But let's continue. Look at the next verse. Verse 23. But in the evening, he took his daughter Leah and brought her to Jacob. And he went in unto her. So that sex happens on the evening of the wedding. So let's say I finish paying your bride price today. If we're going to have a feast, then we have it today. Or we can postpone it to next week or any other time. So once we have the feast, or once, if we finish, it's not a big feast. It's a very small ceremony, or you can make it big if you want to. You don't have to have a wedding. You can have a wedding or you don't have to. The bride price is paid that evening of the feast. That evening, that's when your father will now give you to me. As you see in the book of Tobit, your father will now give you to me and will give you some advice and will bless us, bless our marriage. And that night, your father will also give you a piece of paper. I'm sorry, a piece of cloth. Your father will give you a piece of cloth. And that piece of cloth, you will take that piece of cloth inside the room where we're going to go to. So when I begin to lay with you for the first time, we will make sure that a blood that comes out of you touches that piece of cloth. That piece of cloth will be given to you by your parents. And we'll make sure that blood touches the piece of cloth. And once the blood touches it, you keep it. And then later on you will give it to your parents and they will keep the piece of cloth. So as we see here, if we go to Deuteronomy chapter 22, we will see where you see this in action. Deuteronomy 22 from verse 21, verse 13 to 21. Deuteronomy 22 verse 13 to 21. Deuteronomy 22 verse 13 to 21. Deuteronomy 22 verse 13 to 21. It says, suppose a man marries a girl or a young woman or a virgin, but after going in unto her, again, going in unto her is sex. Going in unto her, that's sex. But after going in unto her, he dislikes her. Verse 14, and makes up charges against her, slandering her by saying, I married this virgin, or this woman, or this young woman, or this girl, but when I lay with her, I did not find evidence of her virginity, meaning the blood. That's the evidence of the virginity. Verse 15, the father of the young woman and her mother shall then submit the evidence of the young woman's virginity to the elders of the city gate, or to the elders of the city at the gate. Verse 16, the father of the young woman shall say to the elders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he dislikes her. Verse 17, now he has made up charges against her, saying, I did not find evidence of your daughter's virginity, but here is the evidence of my daughter's virginity. Then they shall spread out the cloth before the elders of the town. Verse 18, the elders of that town shall take the man and punish him. Verse 19, they shall fine him 100 shekels of silver, which they shall give to the young woman's father, because he has slandered a virgin of Israel. She shall remain his wife. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. Verse 20, if, however, this charge is true, that evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found, the evidence, the blood, the evidence is that before I lay with you, the blood that comes out when I lay with you should be applied to the cloth which you give to your parents and they keep. Verse 20, if, however, this charge is true, that the evidence of the young woman's virginity was not found. Verse 21, then they shall bring the young woman out of the entrance of her father's house, and the men of her town shall stone her to death, because she committed a disgraceful act in Israel by prostituting herself in her father's house. So shall you purge evil from your midst. Losing your virginity before your wedding night is an act of prostitution. Okay, so that's basically what happens on that night. We give the paper to our parents and or your parents, and you become my wife. And while you are in my house, you have a job to do. Hebrew marriage is not like a white man's marriage, Western marriage. As a Hebrew woman, when I marry you, you're coming to my house to serve me. That's why Sarah called her husband her master. You know that will not work today, right? Today you're called partners. Your husband is your partner according to the Europeans, right? It's 50-50. In the Hebrew culture, no, it's 100-0. My purpose in life, my duty in life is to serve the Most High as a Hebrew man. Most Hebrew men don't do that anymore. Your duty in life, your purpose in life is to serve your husband while he is serving the Most High. This is clearly seen in the book of Proverbs 31. See that woman that you talk about in Proverbs 31, that's what she was doing. So a Hebrew woman is not supposed to be walking outside of home. You're not supposed to walk outside of home. You're supposed to be working for me. and you work for me when you're being my wife, you're cooking for me, you're washing my clothes, you're having my children, you're there to work for me. A Hebrew woman is not supposed to walk outside of the house to work for somebody outside. No. That totally goes against your purpose in life. Now, I know that some of you will be giving excuses. You right now, you're running around, you cannot sit quiet. You're like, wow, I can't believe this. Wow, he said that. Wow, yeah, wow. What if this? What if that? What if your husband is this? What if your husband is sick? What right now you're doing all the what ifs. Because you don't really want to leave the Western culture. You don't want to leave the white man's system alone. Hold on to it. Don't leave it alone. You think I'm going to argue with you and debate with you? No. If you think that the ways of the Europeans are better, keep it. Keep following it. If you think that the ways of the Europeans are better, keep following it. So you're not supposed to walk outside. So as a Hebrew woman, so when I pay the bride price and I do all this, you're coming to serve me. And what do I get in return? I just spent all this time right now describing the commitment that I have to make. I just described all these commitments, right? I described all this commitment, all the hoops that I have to jump as a Hebrew man. When I see you, I talk to my parents, they do investigation, they talk to your parents do investigation, they talk again, we do betrothing, bride price, all this stuff we have to go through. I'm doing all this to have you. And while all this is going on, as you saw in the book of Genesis, I can't even see your hair. I can't even see your hair. Not to mention seeing your vagina. Do you want to see some evidence? Let's go back to Genesis 24 that I mentioned earlier. I can't even see your hair. The only time I can see your hair is if I see your private part. If when I pay the bride price and you become my wife. I can't even see. I'm not even allowed to see your hair. So imagine, as a man who is not your husband yet, I'm not even able to see your hair. Can I see your private part? Genesis 24. Genesis 24. Today you unlock your hair. You show your hair to men because you don't know who you are. If you remember what I told you guys some time ago, I told you that our ancestors would disown us. Our ancestors, the people that you read about in this book, they will be shocked to see us today. To see Hebrew men without beards. To see Hebrew women walking around without their head covered. To see Hebrew women walking around with tight clothes. Trousers. Our ancestors will be shocked. And I guarantee you, they will disown us. They will never agree to have anything to do with us. Our ancestors will never want to have anything to do with us today. Because we are so far away from the Hebrew culture. Far away from the law of the Most High. And the law of the Most High is the Hebrew culture. I told you that the Muslims are actually closer to the Hebrew culture than us. Genesis 24. From verse 60 something. Genesis 24. Start from verse 60. Verse 63 or 61. Okay. The book of Genesis. Let's start from verse 60. Yeah, verse 63 is the right one. Verse 63. You can read the whole chapter at your own time. So Genesis 24 from verse 63. Look at what happened here. Genesis 24:63. Genesis 24:63. Isaac went out in the evening to walk in the field, and looking up, he saw camels coming. Verse 64. And Rebekah looked up and looked up when she saw Isaac, she slipped quickly from the camel. Verse 65. Verse 65, Genesis 24:65, and said to the servant, "Who is the man over there walking in the field to meet us?" The servant said, "It is my master." So she took her veil and covered herself. Why? What's the problem? What is the big deal? So she saw a man who is going to become her husband coming in the field. She quickly grabbed her veil and covered herself. Remember that she's in a camel, so it looks like those men might be in front and she and the other people were in the back. So as a Hebrew woman, no man is supposed to see your hair except your husband. That's why you see the Muslims. See, you're going to have to kill a Muslim woman before she will allow you. A true practicing Muslim woman. A true practicing Muslim woman, you're going to have to fight her before you can see her hair. Her hair is like her vagina to her. She will not let you see it unless you're her husband. And you wonder where they get that from. There you go. Genesis 24. If you want to see this, go to YouTube and search the French government. These filthy people in France, they passed a law in France to ban Muslim women from covering their face, covering their hair, wearing their veil, and wearing their burqa. I think the law was to stop them from wearing their burqa. You see a video on YouTube, videos on YouTube, where the Muslim women were protesting, fighting for their right to cover themselves, while our sisters are looking for excuses to expose their body as much as possible. So that's what I meant, that I'm not even supposed to see your hair. Only your husband is supposed to see your hair. Your husband and maybe your children. A stranger should not be able to see your hair. But these things are not going to be, it's not going to be important to you because you don't care anymore. I mean, like one sister told me, these are like olden day stuff. And these are stuff that used to be done in the past. That was then. This is now. That's what she told me. That was then. This is now. So yeah, this is, as you can see here. So as a Hebrew woman, when you come into the house, like when you come into my house, see all the stuff we're doing today. When somebody marries their wife, the wife is walking outside, going to her job. That's not a Hebrew thing. That totally undermines your purpose, the reason why you're there in the first place. Because look at the things that happen if you're a woman and you have a husband and you have a job. Now, you can deceive yourself all you want. You can be delusional and deceive yourself by claiming that it will not affect your children. You can claim that you can do your duty as a wife, be there for your kids, and at the same time have a job. Go ahead and claim if you want to claim that. We also give excuse. Well, my husband cannot afford to pay for things, My husband cannot afford to, we have to have two incomes. These are all excuses. Well, let's ask why. Why can't he afford it? Because he went to school. He got a degree. He got a job. He wasn't able to build his own house, so you don't have to pay rent. He wasn't able to learn a skill. So we follow the ways of the Gentiles, and then things becomes difficult, and then we complain that we can't keep the law because things are so difficult. Well, things became difficult because we're following the Gentiles. That's why things became difficult. So that's the way things were supposed to be, but it's no longer like that. It's literally no longer like that. So today I can have sex. I'll have sex with a very little effort, really. Even though in the past I was supposed to make huge commitment, a lot of commitment, but that's no longer the case. That is no longer the case. So today I have to make huge commitment to be able to. Today I have to make very little commitment, and men are literally having virginity being thrown at them. Literally, for nothing. Something that used to cost so much. Something that you used to hold on to it so you can get everything you want. Something you used to hold on to so you can get the best situation for yourself and your future and your children. You used to use your virginity as a bargain. You keep your virginity, and a man will go through all these steps before, by the time he gets on top of you, he earned it. He deserved it. He's paid the price, and he's not going anywhere because he paid too much price, and also he feared the Most High. That's the way it used to be. Today we're literally like virginity is being thrown away. So girls are throwing away the most valuable thing that they have in their body. They will just give it away most of the time, either with someone they met in school or in school. They either lose it in school or with someone they met in school. Do you see a problem here? Do you see why I speak against Western education? And once a girl loses her virginity, what else do you have to offer? What exactly do women have to offer today? Nothing. The only thing you have to offer today is your vagina. You want to eat out. Most women today in the Western world don't know how to cook. Making scrambled egg doesn't mean that you know how to cook. It's just an egg. Anybody can do that. So Satan have actually deceived you today into pursuing all this stuff that are useless. Men don't care about your degrees. And this is one of the things you're going to be able to see when you begin to see these videos on YouTube that these women are making. Women who are in their 30s and stuff. So all your life, they've told your parents, they told your dad, they told your mom, they told you through billboard, TV, radio. They keep telling you that go education, 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 education. And they are still doing it till today. What most women don't realize is that your degree, the more education you have, the more we are turned off. Because real men are not looking for strong women. I know they told you to be strong and be powerful and independent. Real men are not looking for that. A real man, a strong man, is not looking for a strong woman. A strong man, especially those who are righteous, are looking for feminine women. So what women are finding out today is that you literally threw away your virginity. You threw away one of the only thing you have. You could have used. That has been thrown away, and then you spend all this time like the person I told you. You pursue all this education and got all this degree. And then today my sisters are finding out that those degrees doesn't mean anything. Everything is all good. And then you're beginning to build your hope. He's telling you that he loves you, he cares about you, blah 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 blah. He's telling you all these things, and you're thinking that he actually meant it. No, we don't mean it. 99.99% of the time we don't mean the things we say. We're just saying whatever we can say to get on top of you. That's all. That's why we're saying it. That's why we're saying it. We don't care. So if you look at it, we're saying all this stuff, right? And your hopes are beginning to build up. But we know exactly what we're doing. Once we get what we want, once we get tired of your body, we dump you. And then when we dump you, who is the one crying? You. All these hopes you've built up, all these lies we've told you, it's all a bunch of lies. So for the next 2-3 months, you're mourning, you're crying, then you begin to dress sexy again. And you still don't learn. You're still not able to learn. My sisters, stop following the Europeans. Stop dressing like your other sisters who are dressing sexy. Don't dress sexy. Don't dress sexy for protection reasons. Dressing sexy is dangerous for you. If you dress sexy, you will attract men that just want you for your vagina. And I don't know if you know this. You don't want to deal with a man that just wants you for your body. Do you understand this? Do you understand that you don't need to deal with a man that just wants your body? Do you not understand that? These people are just going to waste your time. I used to do it. I used to do it myself. They will just waste your time and you end up crying. And oftentimes your virginity is gone. Don't dress sexy. Don't dress haughty. Dress moderately. And when I was doing this, I used to dress haughty too. I used to wear tight clothes, nice shoe, nice shirt, nice tie, because I had to dress like that to make you think that I'm a good person. I'm a responsible person. That dressing with all the lies that follows it. Yeah, many lies. I will lie about where I live. I never wanted women to know where I live. I will lie about I'll tell you that I live in a different city that is far away. I do that for a purpose. So just count what I'm telling you right now as a confession. I'm making a confession to warn you. But some of you are so deep in your whorish way, you wouldn't even listen. You're still going to continue to dress sexy, which is good for you. And eventually, you will reap where you sow. Used to tell women that I live very far away. I do that for a purpose. The reason why I tell them that I live far away is so that they wouldn't say, "Oh, let's go to your house." No, because I don't want them to come. Why the hell do I want them to come to my house? I don't like them. I just want their body. That's why I will tell them that even till today, some people think that, oh, you live in that city, you live wherever. But I am a totally different person. Totally different person. Now, my looks, I don't dress like that anymore. I used to dress to impress. So if you're that kind of a woman, if you see the way I dress right now, you won't even talk to me. You're going to be like, man, damn, he's a madman. Look at his beard. He has all this beard and he has all this long clothes that he's wearing. This is weird. He's so strange. He has beard and he has that thing hanging on his clothes. That's how I dress now. So the reason why I lie that I live in a very far away, because I never wanted those women to come to my house or come to where I live, I don't want them to request to come. And it makes it easy for me to take them to a hotel too. Or for them to be like, okay, just come to my house because you're so far away. This is a confession to warn you. It doesn't seem like you guys are warned. There's so many women who are single. The things I'm describing right now is exactly what happened to you. That's exactly what happened to you. That's why you're by yourself by today. If you had been led through the Hebrew culture, through the law of the Most High, you're brought up according to the law of the Most High, you will not be by yourself today. You will not be by yourself. You will have great-grandchildren by now. Why? Because you would have started having babies at the age of 11, 12, 13. Yeah. By the time you're 30-something, you're a grandmother already. And you will relax and enjoy your life and your children and your grandchildren. Don't do it. And encourage others not to do it. Don't dress sexy. I'm telling you, don't dress sexy. Do not dress sexy. It's not good for you. It's dangerous for you. Unless, like as I said before, some of you, most women today just have this spirit of whoredom that, you can't really stop. So you can't really, you see something that is danger for you and you still do it. Don't do it. Don't dress sexy. That's what the Europeans want you to, that's what white people want you to do. Don't do it. Especially for young girls. Young girls should not dress sexy because you attract men like me. You attract men who don't care about you. They will abandon you as soon as they're done with your body. Your body should be wrapped up, covered up, like a package. It should not be seen. What do you do to a package when you go to a store to buy something? Oh, yeah, by the way, for those of you that have sons and grandsons, this is for you too. This is something you have to teach your sons and your grandsons. Yes. That is something you have to teach your sons and your grandsons. You have to teach them. Very important. You have to teach these things to your sons and your grandsons. Very, very, very important. You teach them these things to know who to look for. So don't dress sexy. Teach your young ones not to do it. It's dangerous. It will only attract men who don't care about you, who just want your body, and these men will waste your time. Waste your time? How? What do I mean that they'll waste your time? Well, they'll waste your time because they'll waste your time. Actually, I'm going to show you right now, and I apologize for those who are on YouTube. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I know you may not be able to see this. So, this is someone that I do know, and this is how they attracted a man. So oftentimes you dress sexy, you wear all these sexy clothes to attract a man. So how long are you going to keep dressing sexy? Like perpetually? Because if a man becomes interested in you, because of what you are wearing, because you're quote unquote dressing sexy, think about this. Can you just think? Just think about this. I know I'm crazy. I might sound crazy. Maybe I'm crazy. I'm just trying to protect you. Some of you women are angry at what I'm saying right now. You're mad and you're angry. But that's because you I don't know how to describe. You don't realize who is fighting for you. You don't realize who is fighting for you. I'm trying to protect you here. But because your mind and your head is so destroyed with Gentile system, you're actually thinking that, oh man, he hates women. He's actually, he's speaking against women. Yeah, because you have a whorish mindset. And a man telling you not to dress sexy, that's a problem. Because you want to continue to dress like a whore. That's why you have problem with what I'm saying. Not realizing that I'm trying to protect you. or protect your daughters, protect your children from men who don't care about them. You don't want a man who don't care about your child to to be coming around them. Do you want that? Do you want a man who, look at that picture. Take a look at that picture. I know that particular woman right there. Look at her breast hanging out. So you attract her breast is literally hanging out. Like literally hanging out. You can literally see her breast. And they're out. They're hanging out. So if you attract a man dressing like this, do you realize that you're going to have to perpetually keep dressing like this? Because if you're no longer dressing like this, then he's not interested anymore. Do you understand that? Can you not see a problem with that? No. You wrap yourself up. Or teach your daughter to wrap herself up. Or your granddaughter. Let them wrap everything off. Listen, it might take some time, but whoever comes along will be the real person. The person who doesn't care about your body. Because if a man comes to you, if a man is interested in you without seeing you half of your nakedness, if a man is interested in you without caring what your body looks like, okay, then eventually you're going to get fat. You're going to become pregnant. You're going to have babies. You're going to have stretch mark, right? You're going to have stretch mark. You're going to become pregnant and have stretch mark. That man is not going to leave. Because do you understand there are people that leave their marriage, their so-called marriage, because their wife got fat? Do you understand that? I'm trying to protect you from people like that. I'm trying to protect you from people like that. Those that will abandon their marriage because their wife got fat. Do you understand that that's a problem? Again, well, you have a whorish spirit. You've been educated by the Europeans. So yeah. I'm just wasting my time because you don't really care about stuff like this. Like the idea of not covering yourself, the idea of exposing your body, wearing tight jeans, tight skirt. Even those of you that claims to be Hebrew, you still wear tight dresses, even though you're not wearing trousers, but you're still wearing tight dresses, right? You're supposed to be dressing moderately, but it's all tight up, everything all tight. You don't realize what you're doing. When righteous brothers look at you, they're lusting after you. They're literally lusting after you. This is not working out. This is a problem. It's a problem. And like as I said in the beginning, women are the victim. But women are the ones who are going to fight me, or if this is on YouTube, women are the ones who are going to give this a thumbs down. When you give it a thumbs down because, again, you want to continue to dress the way you want to dress. And go ahead. I'm only interested in those who want the truth. I'm only interested in those who wants to, who wants the truth and wants to. That's who I'm interested in. You go do whatever you want to do. Eventually, you will reap what you sow. What you sow is what you reap. Not everybody is going to accept it. The Most High, our God, was killing our ancestors in the wilderness. The Most High was slaughtering and killing Israelites in the wilderness. So, with all those miracles, with all those things that he was doing for our ancestors, there were still people that disagree with him. You understand that? So who am I that you agree with me? No, you could think whatever you want to think. With all the miracles and everything, there were still Israelites that totally disagrees. The idea of abandoning the ways of the Egyptians was a problem. The idea of abandoning the Egyptian way was a problem for them. No, they don't want to abandon the Egyptian way. They want to continue to live like the Egyptians. They want to continue to live like the Egyptians. And part of our problem today is perpetuated because Hebrew men are spineless, weak. You can't allow your women to be dressing like whores. But I mean, those that you grew up in a single family. Your mother did whatever she wanted to do, and you grew up, and so to you that's normal. Supposed to wrap up yourself, all wrapped up, completely wrapped up. And for a young Hebrew girl, that's good because first of all, whoremongers like me, I used to be a whoremonger. Dogs like me in the past, we're not interested in that. We are not interested in that. We're like, that's too much work, because we don't want to make commitment. So we try to stay away from, we try to stay away from being made to make commitment. We try to stay away. We don't want to make any commitment. So we stay away from anybody that dressed moderately. Most of the people that I dealt with in the past, they were dressing sexy. Tight jeans, tight that, tight this, showing their body. And that's usually what attracts us. We see that, we go after that. We're going after your body, not you. Not you. We don't care about you. We're going after your body. But we have to talk to you to get to your body. We have to be nice to you to get to your body. We have to say whatever you want to hear. As we're talking, we're gauging you. As we talk, we're monitoring you and gauging you to see what you want to hear. And we will give it to you. Exactly what you want to hear is what we'll tell you. So we have to get through you to get to your body. As soon as we're done with your body, we're gone. We discard you, toss you out and go to the next one. That's literally the world that we live in today. That's what it has come down to. This is what it has come down to. And that's not good. That's not good. You, the grandmothers and mothers and grandmothers, you have to be talking. You have to be talking. They won't listen. I know that your daughter will not listen. I know. Your son will not, the granddaughter will not listen. I know that they will not listen. But you have to talk. Why would you be talking? So that the Most High will know that you talked. He will know that you're talking. You did not keep quiet. You kept talking. You kept talking. You kept talking. We have to talk. Just like right now. I know that you guys who don't care about this stuff, you don't want to listen to this. Especially the idea of telling you not to dress sexy. Yeah, don't dress sexy. I know you don't want to listen to this, but I'm still talking. So that those that will listen will go ahead and listen. Those that will not listen will not listen. You go on to do whatever you want to do. And eventually it will come back to bite you. If you dress moderately, cover yourself, and wrap up yourself, especially those of you that, like if young girls who are still a virgin, young girls who are still virgins, yes, you cover yourself and wrap yourself up, wrap up. And you women need to pursue this. Women supposed to, mothers supposed to push these girls to wrap themselves up, educate them with this, talk to them about this, talk to them passionately. Let them know that you're trying to protect them. This is about their protection. If you do your job right and they understand this, they are the ones that will benefit. Guess what? When a girl covers herself with her veil, all wrapped up, well protected, people like me, like I used to be like that. Like I said, that used to be me. Right now, when a woman makes move on me, I don't even respond back. Like sometimes women will try to, because I know I can't commit adultery. That if it was me in the past, oh yeah, you make every move, I'll take your opportunity. But if I take opportunity, I'll be committing adultery. I don't want to do that. I don't want to not make it into the kingdom of heaven because of some cheap pleasure. It's a cheap pleasure. No. So the a girl who is covered up, all wrapped up, moderately dressed and everything, she will get, the men that will become interested in her will be men who don't care about her body, because a girl that dressed moderately will attract a moderate man. And part of dressing moderately is covering your hair, wearing your veil. You don't do that anymore today. We don't do that anymore. We don't care about these things anymore. And it's so sad to watch you go through the things that you go through, all the experience you have, and you literally just sit back and you watch your daughter go through the same thing, and you sit back and you watch your granddaughters go through the same thing. And is it because you don't know what is happening? Well, now you're being told what is happening. The reason why you had all this bad relationship you have with men was because of the way your dad and your mother brought you up. They didn't teach you these things. They sent you to school. They didn't talk much about what you're wearing. And you wear whatever you wear, and you go out there and boys became interested in you. These boys didn't care about you. With your tight jeans and your short skirt, they were thinking just like the way I used to think. They want to get on top of you. And they did. That's why they abandoned you. Sometimes they abandon you with 2 or 3 kids. And you're there by yourself now. So you've gone through all this. And you're just going to you're going to sit back and you watch your children go through the same thing. That's wicked. That is wicked. That is wickedness. That's why you have to be talking. Let them know the danger of dressing sexy. It's dangerous. They need to keep people like me away, the way I used to be. Men that used to think the way I used to think needs to be kept away from them. And like as I said, we only come because of how you dress. We see you like a meat. It's like a hungry animal in the wild. When we see the ones who are covered up, I am telling you, I'm not going to lie to you, we don't bother that much with those who are moderately dressed. Why? Because it's hard to get them. When we see a girl or a woman who is moderately dressed, some things come to our mind. One of the things that come to our mind is that is the fact that, okay, first of all, why is she all dressed up and like wearing long skirt? Why? That's the first question that will come to our mind. And it's actually like a blow to me or to us, because it takes us time to kind of respond. Like when we see a woman that dressed up, moderately dressed with her veil, we think she's a Muslim. So we know that first of all, she has a high self-esteem. And that's a problem for men like me, because we tend to we are more comfortable dealing with women with low self-esteem. See, it's easier for me to just keep saying stuff to a woman with low self-esteem and I will get right on top of her. I just have to tell her what she needs to hear. See, but with a woman with high self-esteem, she's not moved because I say, oh, you're beautiful. It doesn't move her. See, a woman with low self-esteem, if I keep telling her, oh, you're beautiful, wow, look at your body, you're so nice, you're beautiful, she's smiling, it gets into her head because she has low self-esteem. And they are much an easier prey. They're like a prey. I'm the predator. She's the prey. And the way she could have kept me away is by dressing moderately. Okay, so but when I see a woman, we are shocked. It's like you. We don't know how. It takes us some time to respond, and this happens. This can happen in the store, in a grocery store, at the gas station, on the street. Boom! She comes out all moderately dressed, veil, everything, and we are actually scared. If I have to be honest with you, it's like we don't know how to respond. So the last thing I'm thinking is to come and take your number because, okay, first, I can see your breast. I can see your ass. I don't know what they look like. So that's already like a deterrent right there. With tight jeans and tight this and tight breast, nipples and all this stuff like you saw in that picture. I see it. I know if I want it or not. Then I'll go for it. But if you all covered up and everything, I don't know what it looks like. So, okay, so that's already a problem. So here I'm looking at a woman. I'm looking at this girl, all covered up and everything, like wearing all this stuff. Okay, I can't see what it looks like. But at the same time, I'm kind of a little bit scared because I see that she definitely has high self-esteem. That's why she's not exposing her body. Because I do know that those that expose their body have low self-esteem. That's why they have to expose their body. So we are kind of like a little bit, we don't know how to, like it's like, okay, she's wearing, she's moderately dressed with her veil and all that stuff. All right, okay. So this deters me or deters us from coming off and asking for your number. But that's good. It's good for you. Because I'm like a hyena or something. I'm like a wild predator that doesn't care about you. I'm just looking for a meat. And that meat happens to be your body. And I have to tell you a bunch of lies to get to the meat. So that moderate dressing absolutely deters people like me or who I used to be. It deters us. So oftentimes, do you actually know what we're thinking? So the interesting thing about this whole situation is that men like me, who I used to be, when we're looking for sex, we're looking for women who are wearing jeans, like regular jeans, right? Regular jeans, tight blouse, tight clothes. The interesting thing, this is wicked. I'm ashamed. Like it's horrible. It's evil that I used to do this. See, the interesting thing is that when we are looking for a wife, we never look for a woman that dress like that. We look for those that dress moderately. Those of you men who are listening to me, you know what I'm saying, that this is true. Any man that hears my voice who wants to be honest knows that this is true. Have you noticed that when we're looking for sex, we're looking for those who are, tight jeans, tight this, tight that. But when we're looking for a wife, we're looking for the ones who are moderately dressed. Wow. Wow. And women don't even understand this. Our sisters don't even know this. Our sisters don't even know this. They don't even realize this. And many of them are suffering today because of this. Many of them are suffering today because of this. Because to listen to the Europeans, they were telling you about freedom. Oh, you are free. You are this. You can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. When you get to be by yourself, lonely by yourself, they will not be there to be with you. They're not going to be there with you. They will not be there with you. And then you look at the Muslims and you laugh at them. Oh, they are timid. They are this. They are that. They are this. They are that. They are happier than you. They tend to live with one man who took their virginity. They have their children. They are happy. How is this freedom thing working out for you? This, feminism and freedom of speech, freedom of this, freedom of that, freedom of that, freedom of this. How is that working out? Do you understand that it's dangerous for you to dress sexy? It is dangerous for my sisters, and you should know this. You should know this. How could you not know this? How can you not understand this? Because if you were dressing moderately, right? If you were dressing moderately, then you would have dealt with a man that really cares about you. A man that wasn't only interested in your body. You would have dealt with that man. And by now, you would have been seeing your great-grandchildren by now. Not just your grandchildren, but your great-grandchildren. If you have started early, the way you're supposed to. Look at these women over here, these young girls. See how they're all wrapped up? I don't know what, I can't see their breast. I don't know what it looks like. It's impossible for me to tell what their breasts look like. It's impossible for me to see what their ass look like. And that's good for them. Do you understand that that's good for them? That is good for them. Because that keeps me away. I'm a predator. Me and men like me. There's nothing good that comes from us. We come and we steal and we break your heart. Oh yeah, often we start with breaking your virginity. They will break your heart. You don't want us around your daughters, your granddaughters. You don't. You have to be evil to want us around your children. I'm telling you that you can keep us away by letting them dress moderately. Dressing sexy that's dangerous for your children. It's dangerous for your daughters. You have to keep talking, just like your grandmas and your grandpas used to talk. They don't talk like that anymore. Moms and your mothers, for those of you who are young, your mom is busy dressing sexy. They're busy dressing sexy too, right? This is why you have baby mamas and baby daddies everywhere. Can you see what's happening here? This is the things we need to be focusing on. We've made mistakes, right? You call it mistakes or whatever you call it. So how can we keep quiet? Why are we not talking about this? All of us, we either have young sister, young grandson, granddaughter, granddaughter, or your daughter. We have to be talking about this. We spend our time wasting it over nothing. And these girls don't know that they have to keep their virginity. And some people will actually be angry. How dare he? I'm the enemy. Look at those young women. Look how they're all wrapped up like a package. You can't even see her hair. You have no idea what her breasts. You can't even see the These are things that we go for. Trust me, I'm telling you. These are the first thing that we have to see first. The breast, the ass, then we go for it. And while we're going for it, we're updating our friends. Yeah. We are updating our friends. I was around a Gentile one day. I was hearing a Gentile talking. Yeah, it actually was a Gentile was speaking. And he was talking about how they have a list. He described how sometimes, they may have a list and they have a bucket. They have a goal. Their goal is that they will sleep with women of every nation. So they may decide they have to sleep with a woman from every nation. Sometimes they do. These are filthy people. You know that. So if their goal is to sleep with a woman from this country and that country and that country or whatever, then they have that list. So they begin to go around. When they sleep with a Chinese woman, they check the list. Latino woman, they check the list. Now, do you think that he's going to come up to you and say, hey, how are you doing? My name is so and so. I have a list that I want to sleep with women from 10 countries, from different races. And I have chosen you. You, I've chosen you. You are a black woman, and I have chosen you to be that woman. Okay, so let's go to a hotel so you can spread your leg, so I can have sex with you, so I can check that list. Do you think that they will say that? No, they will not say that. They're going to be lying to you. Oh, I'm thinking about you. You're so beautiful. You're so this. You're so that. You're so blah, 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 blah. No. He will tell you exactly what you want to hear. And as soon as he's done with you, he will check his list and he will move on. A woman dressing, wearing tight clothes is dangerous. It is dangerous. It's dangerous for you. Let me not be the only one who is speaking about this. I would like to see others speaking about this. There was a woman that used to speak about this and then she died. There was some woman from East Africa. I believe she was from East African country. She would make videos and it was shocking. It was shocking on Facebook to see a woman speaking against other women for dressing sexy. It was refreshing. It was amazing to see a woman in this period of time telling women to stop wearing tight clothes. That was shocking. But, eventually she died. She died maybe about 3 or 4 years ago or something like that. She died. So we're back to square one. We are back to square one. And I'm just a lunatic. Right? And 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like as I said the other day, your daughter or your granddaughter will find what the Most High said about biblical marriage, and then your daughter or your granddaughter will begin to cry, because this is going to protect them from men like me, predators who are after their vaginas and only their vaginas. Will smash and break their virginity, break anything, and just break their heart and move on. Right? That's what's happening. That is what is happening. So, the Muslims, the Arabs are not stupid. They are not stupid. That's why they cover themselves. They're all covered up. They're all wrapped up. And it pays off. You don't have like baby mamas. Go to the Middle East. Go to West Africa and go among the Muslims. The Fulanese. They have babies at a young age. Yes, they do. They begin to have babies at a very young age. They get married very young. Very, very young. But the white man will tell you, oh, that's evil. That is so evil. That's pedophile. Says who? Says the white man. And your brother, like me, I'm the evil one. It's interesting how this world works. Very interesting. Those who are fighting for you are your enemies. Those who are fighting you are your friends. A very interesting world that we live in right now. Very interesting world. That those that fight, those that I actually have to deal with my own people. My own people have to fight me. Like I have to contend with my own people when I speak against our enemies. Oftentimes, it is my own people that will come and fight against me or speak against me. But I'm just trying to protect you from your enemies. You just don't know that they are your enemies. And on the judgment day, your mouth will be wide open. And you'll be shocked. That's when you will realize, wow, I can't believe this. But it's too late at that point. It is too late at that point. It's too late. It's too late. So most people are not going to listen. Your children will not listen to you. I can tell you that right now. Your grandchildren will not listen to you, but you cannot give up. You have to keep talking. You have to keep talking. Keep talking. Keep talking. Do not give up. Don't give up. Keep sharing with them. Don't give up. Oh yeah, your son too. You have to talk to the boys too. You have to talk to your sons. Don't give up. Don't give up. Because your sons need to understand this also. Yes, they have to. Your sons need to understand these things so that they don't choose a whore to be their wives. Take a look at the pictures that I just posted right now. Look at those wives. That's somebody's wife. That's the husband right there. You see how his wife is all wrapped up? Do you see how his wife is all wrapped up? I told you the other day that if my wife wears like tight clothes or revealing clothes, I'm going to walk up to her and I will tear that clothes. Then I will push her outside. Oh yeah, you want to be naked? I will help you to be naked. I will help you. Oh no, we're not going to argue. I'm going to tear your clothes out and I will push you outside and so that the public will see your nakedness. Oh no, we're not going to play that game. A lot of women today, they have a husband, but they're still advertising their body. They are still advertising their body. They are still going, wearing tight clothes and wearing tight this and tight that. They are still advertising. But the men are so weak and spineless. You allow your wife advertise your something that belongs to you. Her body is her body is your property. Her body is your property. It belongs to you. But you are spineless, you are weak, and you allow her to get out there and just advertise it to the world. You cannot allow your wife to get out there dressing like a whore. You cannot allow that. Whatever it's on her body that's your package. That you own it. It's only supposed to be exposed in the bedroom. If she's leaving the house or if a stranger is coming, if somebody is coming, she has to be wrapped up, all covered up. We don't do these things anymore. So you're weak, you're spineless, you don't know what to do. You have a wife, she's wearing jeans, she's wearing tight, and then she goes out. People like me, predators, will be talking to her, getting her phone number. And you know what? When she comes back, she's only going to tell you the ones that she doesn't like. You see, the ones that she likes, she will never tell you. Because there will be some that she likes. And there will be some that she doesn't like. That's the one that you get to hear about. The ones that she doesn't like, you will hear about that one. She will tell you, oh, did you know I was at the store? This man came up to me and he was talking to me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The ones that she gave her number, no, you're not going to hear about that one. And why are they interested in her? Because of what she's wearing. That's why they're interested. That's why they're interested. That's why they are interested. As they say, picture speaks louder than words, right? So now you see why the Arabs dress the way they dress. I'm going to leave it as they say, a word is enough for the wise. I remember when we've gone through this in the past, some sisters, they just started wearing their veil. I didn't even have to tell them specifically. They just start wearing their veil. Some I have to tell. Some I don't have to tell. I don't have to tell you anything. I'm trying to work out my salvation. I'm not your dad. I'm not your father. I'm trying to work out my own salvation. I'm not going to chase you around. Look, if you want to be naked, be naked. It's not good for you. And look, I focus mainly on the young people, right? Young people. Your daughters and your granddaughters. But you too. Because you know what? Let me tell you something. As an older woman, you're trying to keep the commandment. You're trying to please your God, right? You don't want men to be bothering you right now. Look, whether you're talking about a young girl or you right now, it doesn't matter who you are. The fact is that whether you're young or old, if a man becomes interested in you because of your body, I don't know why I have to tell you that that's not good. You should have known this with your past experience. Now you can tell me, well, he actually loved me. He loved me, he was this, he was... No, shut your mouth. You don't know men. I'm a man. You can't tell me about men. You don't know him. You don't know men. You can't tell me how men think. I am a man. You of course we're going to do all of that things to throw you off and make you think something else while we're looking for something else. Yeah, that's what we do. That is what we do. The reason why you are in the situation you are in today, the reason why you are in this situation is because you were dressing sexy. And this man became interested in you. The first man you were with is who I'm talking about. And then the rest of the men you've been with. These men, all of them became interested in you because of your body. And typically when they get tired, they move on. And your world is shattered. So it's not just for young girls. It's for you too. Because you don't want a man to become interested in you because of your body, right? Then they start bothering you. They start asking you for your number. And I've told you in the past, don't deceive yourself and think, oh, I'm an old woman. Yeah, sometimes you think, oh, I'm an old woman. Who cares about me? I am an old woman. No, you're not. You have a breast. You have two breasts and a vagina. You're a woman. It doesn't matter whether you are 5 years old or you are 105 years old. Whether you are 105 years old or 5 years old, it doesn't matter. You see these lunatics that go and rape an old woman and kill her. Don't you see that? You don't see these psychos that go and rape an elderly woman and then kill her. So don't deceive yourself. Oh, I'm an old woman. Who cares what I wear? Who cares what I dress like? What I wear? Nobody cares. I'm an old woman. No. You maybe. Oh. We're always looking for excuse. We are always looking for excuse to be whorish. We're always looking for excuse to stay away from the law. Always. It's either this excuse or that excuse. So the idea that you're too old and because of that it doesn't matter what you wear. No, it does matter what you wear. It does matter. Because there are predators, useless men, whoremongers, dogs like I used to be, that are into older women. They are into older women. Don't you see on YouTube? Don't you see these stories of these old women who are being contacted from other countries and they get scammed? Don't you see that? So don't think that because you are an older woman, so because of that means that it doesn't matter what you wear. You're going to be attracting unwanted attention from people who don't care about you, and they will begin to tell you what you want to hear. And I'm telling you right now, you are not going to be resisted. You are going to know that they are lying, but you can't help yourself. You continue to talk to them, and before you know it, they will either scam you and take your money, whatever you have left, or they will lay with you and have sex with you. Don't put yourself in that situation. Dress moderately. Lots of clothes. When you cover yourself, wear your veil like a veil. Your ancestors did not wear headscarf. Your ancestors did not wear headscarf. You don't see headscarf in the Bible. You see veil. Genesis 24, veil. Numbers 5:18, veil. Rood chapter 3, veil. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, veil. Because when you wear your veil, it covers your breast too. Like the last picture that I posted. The very last picture. On Skype. Stop dressing sexy. It's not good for you. Stop doing it, my sisters. Hey, my brothers, you've listened. Stop being a whoremonger. Stop being a dog. The Bible said that no whoremonger will be allowed into the kingdom. Stop chasing after and destroying the life of these women. Breaking their virginity, breaking their heart and tossing them like a piece of rag. Stop doing it. Stop doing it. You do know that when you want to look for a wife, what do? You look for those who dress moderately, right? And encourage others. Encourage other young men to not do these things. Encourage your daughters, your sisters to dress moderately. That's part of what it means to be set apart. See, a young girl that dresses moderately, she's not going to attract attention from boys. That's good. But you know who is going to become interested in her? A righteous man. And that's good for her. And that righteous man, he will not mind. A righteous man. See, a righteous man will not mind. A righteous man will not mind jumping all those hoops. We went through the Bible today and you saw what it takes. What a man have to go through before he can get to your body. That's a lot of process. And a righteous man, when he sees a young girl, a righteous man don't mind going through those things. He wouldn't mind. And he's not in a hurry. He knows that your body is going to belong to him. He's not going to be bothering you for sex. And you saw that in Genesis chapter 29. Genesis 29. Jacob was in that house with Leah for 7 years. He could have sneaked, out with her, go have sex with her, and they keep it between themselves. He did not do that. He waited until the end of 7 years. So when you dress moderately, you will attract moderate people. And for a young girl who is still a virgin, that's a good thing. The man will wait. You're all wrapped up. You're a package. He will be willing to pay whatever it takes that he has to pay biblically to get you. He's not just going to toss you out because you're expensive. You are expensive. Women are not expensive anymore. Women are no longer expensive. You have no idea how easy it is to have sex with a woman these days. Oh my goodness. Whew. They have an app right now, Tinder, that you swipe left or right. Like literally. Women are so cheap today. Women are so cheap. Like sex is cheap. You now have an app that you open an app like this. You're looking at different women. If you like how you swipe this way or that, I've never used it, but I hear about it because it wasn't around during my days. If that app came out around that time, whoo, I would have loved that app because then I will spend less, I will lie less, and it makes it even faster. But the app wasn't around at the days I'm telling you right now. So, see, when you arrange yourself like someone that has value, then people will treat you like someone that has value. What we wear matters a lot. The scripture tells us that a man is judged basically by the way they dress, by the way they appear. People look at you, so that's why that man told me, the Gentile, he saw me at the bank and he said to me, "Oh, I like the way you dress." I said, "Thank you." And he was like, "You look very respectable." If I was wearing jeans and tie, jeans and tennis shoe and, baseball hat, he wouldn't say that. What I wear, what you see me wearing here, I have a different color. And I wear it almost 7 days a week. I wear this one only on the Sabbath. Then I wear the other ones during the week. And see, it goes down. It goes down. It could go down towards your knee. We're going to look into dressing, how we're supposed to dress as Hebrew. We're not going to do that right now. Maybe some other time. So the way you dress matters a lot. It's like I'm pleading with you, really. It's like I'm pleading, trying to get you to understand. And I feel so bad for these young people. It's really these young girls. It's like I feel like something is going to happen to my sister, and you guys are my sisters. Any Hebrew woman, Hebrew girls, you're my sisters. So I feel like something bad is going to happen to them, but I know that it was going to happen, but there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, these things begin by the way you dress. You have no idea how much bad people you're going to drive away by the way you dress. You have no idea. And as I said, present yourself like a worthy package. Righteous man will never, ever, ever deal with a woman with this tight jeans, tight this, tight that. No. We will lust after you. When we see you with all those kind of clothing, we wish we could have sex with you. But we will not do it. We will not do it. I went from, being the one who is going on offensive to the point that a woman will make an advance to me right now. I wouldn't do anything, but I used to. So please dress moderately. Carry yourself like a package. You have multiple values. Women don't have value anymore, but you can still have your value. The value is always there. It's just that you lose it. And it starts with losing your virginity. It starts with dressing like a whore. Tight jeans, tight this, tight that. That's where it starts. You begin to lose your value. And the heathens are clapping for you. Woo, go girl, you're sexy. You go girl, you're sexy. You go girl, you're sexy. The heathens are clapping for you, cheering you up, and you're losing your value. By the time you realize that you're in your 30s, then you come across the things that the Messiah said in the Bible, then you begin to cry. Because there was no one to tell you. I'm telling you right now, are you going to listen? Retain your value. Retain your body. Keep your virginity. Swore that you will never lose your virginity until your wedding night. Learn how to cook, how to clean. These are all the packages. That's what you come with. That's why a man will be able to jump through all these hoops and do all this stuff to have you. I don't want a woman who is not a virgin. What am I going to do with you? First of all, biblically, I cannot have you. I can't. I can't have 99.999% of the women in the world today. They are not homely. They are not feminine. Women are not feminine anymore. Having a lipstick in your mouth is not feminine. Having paint in your face is not feminine. That's what that's why they call it makeup. It's to make up the fact that you've lost your femininity. The heathen gave you all this paint to make up the fact. That's why they call it makeup. Makeup. They give you this paint with lead chemicals that you put in your face that actually make you to grow old much faster, for your face to be old much faster. They give you this makeup to make up the fact that you're no longer a woman like. You don't have your feminine side anymore. So you put paint in your mouth, red paint in your mouth, put this paint in your face, have all this stuff hanging all over your head and your ear, have all this stuff. You have all this. This doesn't make you feminine. This is, you might use it to trick a regular person. You can't use it to trick a righteous man. Because a righteous man knows exactly what you're supposed to look like. So because of that, you're not going to have access to righteous men. So you end up having unrighteous men. And unrighteous men will eventually treat you in an unrighteous way. Come on. Why are we going to let this continue to happen? I thank our Heavenly Father for everything. I give the Most High all the glory and all the honor. All I want is one person. One person to listen to this, accept it, and change their life according to this. No more trouser. No more tight clothes. Tight this, tight that. And a veil. Begin to wear a veil. See all the pictures that I showed you? You see those women? They're not dead yet. They're wearing their veil. And they love it. But I noticed today that Hebrew women hate wearing veil. Just like Hebrew men, a lot of them hate having their beard. And I used to be one of them. I wanted to shave my beard. Shave it down. Even dressing like a Hebrew. Wearing white garment or wearing long garment. We just have problem with these things. But then you look at other nations. They are practicing our culture. And you're like, wow, damn. How can other people love our culture more than us? We don't even want to know our culture. Start wearing your veil. Dress like a Hebrew. All praises to our Heavenly Father. Thank the Most High for opening our eyes and giving us the opportunity and the ability to understand these things. We now understand these things. It's up to us to put it into practice. Don't dress, wear those kind of clothes, the clothes of the Gentiles. The Most High said in Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 18, Zephaniah, it says that those that wear strange apparel, all those that wear strange apparel, he will punish them. Those that wear strange apparel. European style of dressing is a strange apparel compared to the Hebrew style of dressing. The women that I showed you in these pictures, those people that you see in that picture, they were dressing like the Hebrew. Now we're going to go through this in full detail some other time, and I will show you what Hebrew men used to look like. And we have to go back looking like that. So it's very important to do this. I thank the Most High for opening our eyes. You cannot claim to be set apart. You cannot claim to be holy, righteous, set apart, but you just dress like everyone else. That's not being holy or set apart. The way we dress matters. When you wear your veil, it drives evil spirits away. It drives demons away. It drives whoremongers, dogs, men who are bad for you, men who will waste your time, break your heart, maybe even break your bank account. It drives them away. And also break your relationship with the Most High, which is the worst part of it. They break your relationship with the Most High. So men like that are not good for you in any way. It's all about breaking. They break your virginity. They break your heart. They may break your bank account. And then ultimately, they break your salvation. It's bad for you. Wear your veil. It turns them off. Veil turns men like me. I used to be like that. Wearing your veil, dressing moderately, and I'm not talking about headscarf. There's a difference between a headscarf and a veil. So if you're on Skype right now, the sister in blue, that's a veil. The sister in the next to her, that's a headscarf. Hebrew women did not wear headscarf. They did not. This is something that we learned along the way. The Bible didn't talk about headscarf, it's veil. That's why the Muslims dress like that. That's why the Catholics wear their veil. That's why the Ethiopians wear their veil. That's why the Indians wear their veil. That's what the Bible spoke about. This headscarf thing is something that we learn along the way. Like Hebrew men who have like a goatee. They have a goatee. Hebrew men did not have goatee. They had a beard. Hebrew men grew their beard. We didn't have a goatee or a mustache. That's a Gentile thing. Mustache is a Gentile thing that men are having today. Or a goatee. No, our men have our beards. If you cannot grow a beard, then you cannot grow a beard. Like me, I cannot grow right here. This is natural. It refused to come out right here, but it come out over all the other places. This place come out here, come out here. I can grow it over here and it's growing. But here, it will not come out. There are some men who cannot grow a beard. If you can grow a beard, let your beard grow. It's part of your manhood. Having a goatee, having a mustache, that's something that we learn from the Gentiles. Like you women, doing your braids, braiding your hair. That's something we learn from the Gentiles. Even the New Testament condemns you having a braid. Because you're supposed to have a veil, not a headscarf. Dress moderately, my brothers and my sisters. Let's all dress moderately. I'm not just... I do practice. I dress moderately. I wear my fringes. Like, this is not like maybe one day in a week I will get ready to go out. I'll put on a shirt or a suit and tie, and then no. I wear this almost 7 days a week. I just have different ones. Almost 7 days a week. I just have different ones. If I'm going out, I'm putting it on. And if you see me on the street, you think I'm a Muslim. If you see me on the street, you literally think I'm a Muslim. Because it's supposed to be a way of life, not just a temporary thing. That's what we've been doing in Christianity. On a Christian church, what do? Oh, we dress nice, we shower. The women will dress moderately. We go to the Bible, we clap, we pray. We go back home, we take all that off, and we dress like, tight clothes, tight this, tight that. No, come on. This is supposed to be a way of life. So all praises to our Heavenly Father. As always, for those that do have any question, if you listen to this online and you have any question, you are more than welcome to contact me and ask, and I will try my best to answer as much as I can. I will definitely try to reach out and answer if you have any question. If you listen to this online, you're more than welcome to contact me. Start keeping the law, keep the Sabbath, keep the feast days, grow your beard, wear your fringes. Wear your fringes. It's part of our cloth. Wear your fringes. Teach these things to your children. All praises to our Heavenly Father.